Imagine it's the 2000s and this comes on TV. It's Soul Eater, a whimsical, magical series anybody could love. On today's TV, we have Gachiakuta, a modern series with the same whimsical magic. Now what if I told you these two random series, despite being 10 years apart, have a deeply rooted history? That history being Kei Urana, mangaka of Gachiakuta. She too was one of the children sitting down watching Soul Eater, and as fate would have it, she would become an apprentice to its creator, Atsushi Okubo, during Fire Force. And it resulted in Okubo officially naming her as his successor when he retired. Announced that she'll be joined by Hideyoshi Ando for graffiti work, Urana was set to draw and write a manga that would define the decade. And all I have to say is Gachiakuta has surpassed every single expectation. With nearly 150 chapters, Gachiakuta has created one of the most rich and beautifully drawn worlds ever. A power system that is impossible to hate, and character stories that will make you hopeful, sad, and motivated at the same time. But the best part is, it's all about trash. Yes, literal garbage is a huge part of this manga. Trust me, you'll want to see. This video is meant to explore every single part of this manga, analyzing characters, breaking down events, exploring the world, and even throwing out some theories. I guarantee by the end of this video, you'll see that this manga can become as popular as Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen. And I know that's a pretty big claim to make, so I guess you gotta watch to see if I'm wrong. But without further ado, let's begin. Let's begin our deep dive into Gachiakuta, what I believe will easily be the biggest manga of this decade. We open to a boy rummaging through trash when the door slams open. He is clearly not meant to be here, noted to be the trash raider as he's chased away. The police force pursue the boy, even shooting and injuring him as he just barely escapes, him now standing out of sight and insulting them.
I'm not rating anything, you turd brains.
This is Rudo, our main character for Gachiakuta, and the one thing to note about him is that he will not ever tolerate waste. In this scene, he was collecting an old bunny plushie because you could still enjoy this easily. This idea isn't essential for Rudo. He literally opens the story with it, saying, "They say when an object is well loved, it's eventually imbued with a soul. So what about garbage that's been thrown away? What is it imbued with?" Well, Rudo really loves this stuff, and through him, we'll soon learn why nothing is ever trash in Gachiakuta. We then follow a completely different character, an older man. Him listening as people discuss a trash raider that's obviously Rudo, before they then notice and focus on him, saying he's one of them, noting his dirty clothes before wishing he'd stay on his side of town. This occurs as Rudo is confronted by a girl, Shiwa, her well aware Rudo is the trash raider. She notes it to be especially dangerous, while Rudo states the things rich throw away are perfectly usable. It makes him feel bad for the stuff and gives him a reason for what he's doing. A group of people then walk up and insult Rudo, noting his old gloves he always wears to cover up his hands. They even tell Chiwa to stay away from him, all before revealing Rudo is the son of a killer. Apparently, this big slum they live in was built for criminals. All the people there descendants of said criminals and working hard to clean the place's image. Yet it was Rudo's father who had ruined it by being a murderer. Rudo balls up his fists and looks to them. A dark, terrifying image for the group. They are the eyes of a criminal, all running away as they state Rudo too will become a killer. Chiwa then speaks up and calls Rudo a good person, her noticing the bunny he's fixed up, and before he can give it to her, she's called to go home. Rudo walks home and meets up with that man we saw earlier, this being Regto, Rudo's foster father. He teases Rudo for his weak game with Chiwa before he scolds him on the trash raider business. Rudo feels that because he's become his foster father, he is to repay Regto. Yet Regto, being a good parent, is more concerned about his injuries, not only his gunshot wound, but his hands. Rudo removes his gloves to reveal blackened hands, hands that are so messed up they almost looked burned to pieces. Rudo reveals these are wounds his real father gave him, which is just terrible. Recto and Rudo then fill in the gaps. Rudo's father was thrown into the pit as a punishment for his crime. And since Rudo has these strange wounds he has no idea about, Recto gave him gloves. These gloves ease the pain of his hands. This makes these gloves super special to Rudo no matter how beat up they are. He views them as the spitting image of the debt to Recto he can never repay. There are two big things to note about this. One, Rudo has no idea of his father. We hear all this about his father, but he has no real memory. He can't even remember his face. Second is of course his hands. Rudo's hands look beyond wrong. Like they look like what a person's limbs will look like when they get frostbite. And by all means, like in those cases, they probably should be amputated. Yet his hands work just fine. All I can question is, how did these gloves fix that? Regardless, the next day Rudo practices smiling to further wow Chiwa, yet he's really worried about his eyes. He begins to walk towards her house as he looks to the horizon, the slums descending into nothingness. This is that pit, apparently a giant garbage dump. They throw trash and people who commit crimes down into it, meaning, if I'm assuming correctly, this entire land is in the sky or something. Chiwa then sneaks up to him, them discussing not only the pit, but the crimes Rudo's been committing, as she doesn't want him dropped down there. He needs to stop that trash raider business. Rudo is surprised she cares so much. Recto had said the same things. Chiwa attributing it to Recto loving Rudo too. Yeah, you heard that right. She said loving him too. Rudo stands up shocked and melts, gathering the courage to gift the bunny, and it goes perfectly. With his heart beating louder than ever, Rudo rushes home in absolute glee, beyond excited to tell Recto. He's in such a rush he bumps into this weird guy. Just weird. Regardless, Rudo rushes home, bursting into his room to find Recto on the floor. Blood everywhere with the blade hurled into his chest. Rudo falls to the floor as Recto demands him to run, just barely stating that Rudo needs to change this world. The police force arrive, blaming Rudo for the murder as Recto's blood is all over him. It's all moving way too fast, leaving Rudo to scream in his defense, yet he's knocked out. We resume as Chiwa hears the news, holding the bunny as she views Rudo hung over the pit. He then opens his eyes shocked, watching Chiwa drop the bunny as she states he was the son of a killer after all. The people are all strangely excited, demanding Rudo be dropped as he laughs. They call him filthy, yet the people in the crowd are the filthy ones. He berates them on and on before he notices that strange masked man in the crowd. In an instant, he puts it all together. He had Recto's book when he bumped into him on the way back. There's no further explanation. Rudo erupts into anger.
I'm gonna send you to hell. All of you. All of humanity. Every last one of you. I'm gonna kill.
Rudo is dropped, falling through the sky as he notices something off in the distance. It all fading to black till he wakes up in a pit of trash. He was told this was all a big garbage dump. Trash, people, everything. It all ends up here. It really is a pit of hell. And that's the first chapter of Gachiakuta. What you think? I know I personally love it. I love it a lot. But before we go over anything, I want to say you can read this series entirely through volumes like this, I got 2 here, or on K-Manga for basically free. You log in and they let you read a few chapters a day. It's the best, cheap way to read while supporting. This is very important because mangakas suffer especially hard from piracy. If you want Gachiakuta to do well, just reading it on the app is the best way, or buying volumes. Though with it being the first chapter, you know, the pilot a lot happened, and of course the first thing we have to talk about is how Rudo was obviously framed. I mean, we literally followed him and seen everything he did, so he couldn't have done it. We can actually somewhat solve this mystery already. Upon his first appearance, Regto was holding this book. And if you recall that strange masked man Rudo bumped into, he had that same book. The implication is, well, he stole it, and if Regto's dead, he stole the book and killed him. Not to mention, he was running from that direction and wearing this weird mask. I mean, I don't think you would wear it if you were not doing something wrong. All I'm saying is, there's no doubt this masked man did it. I also want to note how that book has the same exact symbol as Rudo's gloves. You know, he was also holding the gloves closely and gave them to Rudo when he felt the time was right. All I'm saying is, there's a connection and it's probably pretty important. The only thing I can ask though is, why did the masked man just watch Rudo get dropped? Why did he frame him? If the gloves are the same as that book, why wouldn't he just steal the gloves too? I also want to speak about the world Urana has began to create. A polished world for the rich and a slum trash heap for the poor. There's a very big divide. You know, the rich throw away stuff that doesn't need to be thrown away, and the poor tend to value it and hate the rich more. And of course, these rich people throw trash and people off the edge of this island, which seems to be floating. I mean, how is there just a floating piece of land? That's a mystery in itself. All to say, the setting is already very mysterious. And a huge statement of how divided people can be, not only in this world, but likely somewhat a reflection of real life. It's very simple, but it's built up really well already, especially in a first chapter. And trust me when I say it does get a lot better. Urana's world building is seriously some of the best I've seen as of late. The world is a lot bigger than what we thought, as Rudo is now on the ground, dropped into the pit into this land of dumped trash. And now somehow this trash has come to life and he's being chased by it. Even worse, it's clear he is not the first one who's been in this predicament. All of a sudden, he then begins to get sick. The air is toxic and causing him to cough up blood. The noises drawing the beast closer and closer. Rudo lays there. Is this really where it ends? His gloves then remind him of Regto. It can't be over. He has to punish those who killed him, those who pinned it on him, and everyone up there who looked down on him. He picks up a pipe and begins pushing back the unholy threat before him, striking it over and over, yet nothing really happens. Before he knows it, Rudo can't feel his legs and the beast counters. But upon closing his eyes, he's okay. Rudo opens his eyes to an umbrella, the new masked man staring at him before picking him up, kicking him, and putting a mask on his face. Rudo can only ask questions, but the man silences him. He keeps talking, yet is silenced, and as he tries again, the man finally yells. This isn't underground, it's above ground. All the trash is because spear rights drop it, and now because of the noise, the beast has found them. Yeah, that was a lot all at once. Rudo is silent as he too tries to get it all together, but something even crazier is beginning. The umbrella the man was holding begins to transform, a mysterious aura around it as the man sighs in relief, brandishing the now bladed umbrella as it's time for some cleaning. Pointing the umbrella forward, it spins as if it was a drill, then whipping the ground up to send a shockwave at the beast. In front of Rudo's very eyes, the man springs into action fearlessly, dashing around the battlefield before finding himself above the beast. Unbreaker, Octashredder. With those words, the Umbrella Man slams the ground and crushes the beast to death, leaving Rudo in awe of this strange weapon. He then removes his mask.
I'm Enjin, a humble cleaner.
With this, Rudo apparently blacks out, recalling a far-off memory of Regto. He came home one day after a fight. Rudo told the boys that objects are alive and they laughed at him. He recalls something Regto had told him. If you treat an object with care for long enough, it's imbued with a soul. Curiously, Recto puts his book away before reminding him that it's just a legend that he believes in. Maybe one day his gloves will too have a soul. Rudo then wakes up in chains. While Enjin's umbrella reminded him of a happy memory, it would seem maybe the guy's not all that great. Rudo fights back, stating he's gotta get back into the sky, but Enjin explains it as pretty much impossible. They call where Rudo came from the spear, and it's not only in the sky, but it's on the move. He hints at a deeper reason, yet he doesn't really tell us anything else. Rudo is having none of this, demanding info from Enjin over and over till he snaps. If Rudo is so eager for education, then he'll give him a lesson about the ground. Like that, he's thrown away and Enjin leaves. Rudo left alone as men approach. The men realize Rudo is a spearite, someone from the spear, and while they seem to be kind at first, they then chain him up to be sold. Spearites go for a high price because the people down here hate them. All they do is throw their trash down, causing toxic air in those beasts. Yes, yet again, I'm not gonna really, hammer the point in through the video, but remember, Gachiakuta's world is very much a representation of how divided the real world is. Every single big and small detail kinda seems to hammer this nail in. Just don't let it leave your brain. The men mock Rudo. Because he's from up there, he must act as rich as the others. One shoves trash into his face. Their spearite has never touched garbage but can't go hungry, continuing to laugh as he mocks Rudo for where he came from. He then places his hand close to Rudo, leaping forward and biting the man's fingers off. In a testament to his character, he takes to eating the scraps before him. Nothing is garbage ever to Rudo. It's still edible. All to say, the people shouldn't assume he's one way just because of where he came from. Rudo is enraged. He was dropped from the spear, he fought that beast, the guy with the umbrella, and now this. His hands begin to glow as he curses them. The trash, the tribesfolk, spirits in the ground, who's on top, who's on the bottom. No matter what, they don't decide who and what gets thrown out. He breaks the chains as he leaps forward. They won't walk over him anymore. Enjin watches all from afar. He knew this would happen. All while Rudo recalls Recto's words about his gloves having a soul, and that the soul is what makes them strong. This act, a person harnessing an item's soul, Enjin refers to as being a giver. Rudo stands strong as the men run at him, and while they knock away the chain he was using, he then transforms to tire. Everyone's surprised Rudo can use more than one object. Rudo walks towards the last man, withstanding his insults as he readies a final blow, yet is stopped by Enjin. As if in a trance, Rudo snaps out of it, his nose bleeding as a result of his body using that power. Enjin apologizes. He had to see if his theories about the powers was true, and since it was, he offers to give Rudo the info he seeks in exchange for him joining the cleaners. But Rudo doesn't wanna. We're given our first big showcase of the power system in Gachiakuta, and while it'll soon be explained in great depth, I want to note something. Rudo's gloves are the object that makes him a giver, and Recto had given him these gloves as he had stated he thought objects can have souls. He definitely knew something. It would definitely not be a stretch to say he knew of their power, meaning pretty much everything right now is all pointing back to Recto. Everything that's going on is because of Recto or something he did or was involved with. Recto was assumingly killed by the masked man for the book, but the masked man didn't take the gloves, he dropped Rudo. And if this all started because of that book and whatever these objects are, well, it's just very confusing right now. I really do want to say though, it seems a bit manufactured. Like Rudo was meant to be dropped onto the ground, like he's needed down here.
It's unusual for you to contact me, Enjin. What? You found someone with strong potential?
Enjin's on the phone with someone important as Rudo is checked by a doctor. A doctor that is very clear she's an old lady. Alright then. On the way out, Rudo is clear he only wants info, not to join the cleaners. Yet Enjin replies that he should know firsthand how they're gonna treat spirites down here. This place is not gonna give information away for free. Yeah, if it wasn't clear from any of this, Rudo is very immature. Like a bossy kid, he assumes everyone has to do everything he says. It's somewhat understandable though. Rudo is only 14-15 when the story takes place, and we can tell he's had it tough in life. I wouldn't expect him to have very great role models or a good upbringing. But thankfully, Enjin is putting him in his place and it's clear he's not going to get away with that attitude. With this, you can already understand the appeal of Enjin. He's already becoming a brother-esque figure to Rudo, and that's a good thing. It seems like Rudo really needs that. And you see it even more as he continues to teach him about the ground. Over lunch, Enjin begins with the concept of anima, a real-life belief that everything has a soul-like presence. And in Gachiakuta, all the people's trash, their feelings associated with that trash, can convert into this anima energy. This is what causes those beasts we saw earlier to form. Trash beasts. They attack humans and live in dump sites. And since they're made of anima, they can't be attacked by normal means. This is where Rudo's gloves come in. Since he's cared for them, put his heart into them for a long time, they too have anima, meaning they're effective on such beasts. These anima-infused objects are called vital instruments. People who can do this are incredibly rare and are called givers. And since the cleaners are an organization that attacks trash beasts, they obviously need givers and in turn Rudo. To Rudo, this means that if he joins, he'll learn how to get to the spear. Yet Enjin has literally no idea. Yeah, he kinda let us on, but he does think his boss might at least know something. Enjin then asks about Rudo's gloves. Who gave them to him? Rudo explains that there is only memento of Regto, leading Enjin to state they're beat up but have obviously been loved. A lot of people can't consistently take care of things they love. They've got a lot of soul. Rudo really should take care of them. This is huge to Rudo. Up on the spear, people insulted his hands, gloves, and didn't understand the value of trash to him. But here, the very first person he meets understands it all. It must be a really weird, strange feeling to finally be accepted after all this time. And it's a feeling that leaves Rudo with gratitude, him thanking Enjin for everything. He then throws Rudo some money. He had sold off all his clothes, and now he's gonna go find Rudo's teacher, leaving the boy very angry. I mean, I would too if someone just sold my clothes. Even worse than losing his wardrobe, he loses the money as a cat jumps down and steals it. With no choice but to chase the cat, he picks up a stick and runs after it, but is stopped instantly. You see, apparently this stick belongs to someone, and while this seems a bit silly, the stick being so upsetting, this is a lesson that objects are not just objects in Gachiakuta, they're treasure to people. The stick transforms into a uniquely toppled staff in its user's hands, revealing our next cleaner, Zanka Nijiku, the one Enjin was on the phone with earlier. I can't say too much about him yet, but I really do love his design. I just want you to pay attention to how wild and different each of Urana's character designs are. It must take her ages to draw these huge casts of characters, but it's very worth it, as they're some of the most recognizable and memorable I've seen in recent shonen mangas. Zanka is, of course, a perfect example of this. He takes to schooling Rudo on common courtesy. His parents should have taught him to not touch others' stuff, the mention of his upbringing making Rudo angry. Yet he then does something good. Rudo in his rage recalls a moment with Regto. If he wants to talk, he should try meeting someone halfway. Cool down and think about how Zanka feels. Rudo in his eyes tried to steal his vital instrument, something as important to him as Rudo's gloves are to himself. And so he apologizes, with Zanka taking it well, clearing up the misunderstanding. They shake hands and Zanka compliments Rudo's gloves. They're mad cool, and since they're having a nice moment, Rudo tries to answer Zanka's next question with a smile. Oh god. yeah, Rudo can't smile at all. If it wasn't clear him practicing way up on the spear, Zanka, can't take him seriously. Especially when Rudo tells him that he's just helping the cleaners till he reaches his goal. He tries again after Zanka says something, but this might be worse. Leaving Zanka to think Rudo is just making a joke of it all. Him going as far to insult Rudo's goal. But this, Rudo won't let slide. His goal is worth. Both of them staring each other down as they realize they just won't get along. Something strange happens though. The pipe in Rudo's hand activates like an instrument. Zanka realizing that Rudo's gloves are able to turn anything into a vital instrument. With this, they have a short fight, but Rudo stands no chance. Zanka repeatedly slamming Rudo to the floor before something splats on his face. Rudo has turned a plunger into his instrument and got poo on Zanka. Thankfully, Enjin then shows up, dying of laughter as he realizes they fought each other with poo. All he can say is, what a moment. I absolutely love the idea of vital instruments as a power system, as it means literally anything in the world could be a vital instrument and in turn a weapon. Like this book if I really cared for it. I know it's a little bit dusty right now, so I'm not doing the best, I need to dust my shelves, but still, even a simple manga volume could be your power. Not only is this interesting because it gives an unlimited amount of things that could be a power, but because it gives Urana a chance to be very wacky with the powers she chooses. As you'll see many times throughout this video, there's some wacky instruments. I also love the idea of Rudo being able to turn anything into an instrument, which means we can never get tired of his power, and Urana has so many chances to yet again do wacky things. Enjin announces that Zanka will be Rudo's teacher. He's one of the best givers when it comes to handling vital instruments. Side note, this makes Zanka really happy. It's kind of adorable. It's then that Enjin asks, "When did you get here, Rio?" Introducing us to another new character, who instantly takes to messing with Rudo's hair. Like, non-stop. She didn't stop the entire drive to Cleaner HQ. Heading inside the Cleaner HQ, we're introduced to Samiu, who catches flies with the fork. Interesting. She then grasps her glasses, wishing to see Rudo's potential. Her glasses are her vital instrument, enhancing her eyes far enough so that she can see Rudo's essence. She takes a glimpse into Rudo and it's distorted. She's very shocked by this and we can tell, but for some reason she keeps her mouth shut, giving the simple answer that Rudo needs a bit of training. Also, there's poo on his neck. Yeah, yet again, they won't stop mentioning this poo. Yet the more alarming thing is that distortion. That is very concerning. It's another piece of evidence that points towards there being something special about Rudo. Enjin then takes Rudo around Cleaner HQ, looking into a room with tons of interesting looking cleaners, but I promise we'll meet them all with time. For now, they go to the boss. Issue is, he's not here right now. Samiu pops in to deliver the news as Rio reappears to suggest an observation field trip, wishing to get to know Rudo better. With this, we're outside inside of a polluted zone. Samiu explaining these areas as toxic places with trash beasts. Also, apparently Rudo landed in one of the most dangerous ones, No Man's Land. There's 6 of these, and all of them are swarming with trash beasts. Samiu questioning why Enjin was there, yet he states he was just taking a walk. But I agree, that's kinda suspicious. Rudo then questions who the others are in the room, them revealed to be supporters, people without vital instruments yet very important parts of the cleaner team. The one Rudo meets here is Gris, a super strong guy who can punch trash beasts just fine. He's pretty cool. With this, the trash beasts appear, though they're the weaker types, giving Rio the opportunity to teach Rudo to keep his cool. She's so cool. Oh, that's an actual trash beast. Yeah, Rudo has already forgotten about keeping his cool, especially because Rio has also lost her cool. So much for that lesson. She then brandishes a pair of scissors, and you'd be right to assume these are another sick vital instrument. Rio equips the oversized scissors on her legs to swing them wildly as she cuts away trash beasts. She calls her instrument the Ripper, and to be honest, I don't know how she doesn't cut her own limbs off. Anyway, as she swings wildly, Grist takes to punching apart the tiny beast. This being a showcase to Rudo how the cleaners work, and therefore he needs to help out. Rudo jumps in to help out another supporter, Folo, but after activating his power, he realizes he has no real idea how to use it. Thankfully, Rio saves him, but now she's having trouble with that huge trash beast. As she struggles on, Rudo is falling apart. He cannot figure his powers out, and if that's the case, what is he good for? It's then Grist saves him, supporting him and stating that if there's something he needs to accomplish, he can't give up before he can do it. He should just run for now. It's then Rio is able to finally pierce the trash beast, though this reveals an odd truth. It was powered by a vital instrument. That shouldn't be possible. A little bit of time has passed when Zanka wanders into Rudo's welcoming party, but the guest of honor looks very defeated. Zanka then inquires about the trash beast, noting its vital instrument core to yet again be unusual. But Rio has decided to let the others figure it out. She just wants to eat. I really like how Urana draws Rio's facial expressions. It's then Grist sits next to Rudo, and while Rudo realizes he hasn't grown at all, he couldn't use his powers and just threw a fit, Grist thanks him. Most people look down on supporters at first because they have no powers, yet Rudo jumped in to save Folo, a boy who just wants to rid the world of trash beasts. He's going as far as holding on to a precious object to become a giver. Grist states Folo's dreams to say there's something Rudo must want to do, and he needs to remind himself of that. And from there, the rest should just come to him, ending the talk by saying he was dropped on the ground but lived. That speaks for itself, and it seems like finally Rudo is ready to go on. Yet while this moment is happy and hopeful, something unnerving has begun to show up in the background. The men who had chained Rudo up are being interrogated, and oh god, that's not scary at all. The person interrogating them wants to know where the Spearite is, going as far to beat the man bloody before killing him. A wicked smile on their face as they do. It seems, whoever this is, they're about to make a move on Rudo. Back at base, Sumiyu receives a call and the group is quickly dispatched on a new mission. Apparently, someone has found a live Spearite. They find the one who called and obviously they're all a bit on edge, Zanka making it clear Rudo was like a 1 in a million, so 2 would be insane. And upon getting to the Spearite, that's a doll. The caller then screams as the floor collapses, this introducing us to our first human enemy faction. Of course there's trash beasts, but now there's raiders, a group of giver bandits that get more daring with time. Apparently there's also been some weird experimentation going on there too. Their goal is to obviously get Rudo, the Spearite, and so Grist and Folo lead him away as Zanka is left to fight. But first, these raiders reveal they want Rudo to not just learn about the spear, but to ask how he made it across the border without dying. Wait, that wasn't meant to happen? You're telling me that upon being dropped, Rudo was supposed to hit a border and just die? That's why Spearites never come down? Of course, with this, we can only question why? And I can only think of 2 things. First, of course, the masked man. He seemed to have wanted Rudo to come down here. I mean, he killed Regto and then sat there as Rudo got dropped without taking the gloves. He literally sat there and watched. All I'm saying is maybe he gave Rudo some way to live. Then there's that weird black mask Rudo saw as he was falling. Is that thing maybe like a gatekeeper? You know, the guardian of the border? Does that mean it's living? Yeah, it's crazy. By slipping this one little line in, we've got so many more mysteries and so many more questions, and we're only really just getting the story started. The raiders then summon mud dolls, Zanka realizing it's because of the woman's shovel-like vital instrument. Yet as he destroys one of the dolls, the other raider comes from inside. This proves quite a peculiar tactic, and while at first Zanka struggles, taking some hits and even falling into quicksand, all he needed was some time. Zanka realizes the other raider's vital instrument is his snowshoes. The lady will make mud, he can traverse it super easily. They make for a super cute couple. Yet it's not enough to beat Zanka. He states he knows everything about his instrument, weight, scent, he even talks to it, showing how important care is when it comes to these things. All before slamming the ground and feeling out his staff's vibrations. This gives him the ability to sense which mud doll is weightier, allowing him to easily one-shot both the raiders. If they hadn't used those silly tactics, Zanka would have had it harder.
Then I guess the same goes for you.
We then cut back to the others and Rudo making a quick escape, and upon hearing footsteps, they believe it's gotta be Zanka, right? Hopefully? Nope, it's not Zanka at all. This man looks to Rudo before jumping on the wall right behind him, destroying the exit before he's yet again on the other side of the room. This raider is Jabberwonger, a fan favorite and in my opinion one of Urana's coolest designs. Her characters are always stylish, that's a given, but she's very inclusive. It's very cool to see characters like Jabber who represent a huge group of people, especially because this type of thing feels so rare in the manga industry. Diversity is really cool, let's show it more. Anyways, Jabber. I would be doing a disservice if I didn't introduce him with this clip that explains him perfectly.
You got some pretty good game for a worn out, foul-mouthed, butthurt, ratchety, short-stacked sphere, right?
Jabber sighs about being late before stating he's here for the same reason as the others, Rudo. But when they all ask about Zanka, it's learned that Jabber poisoned him and he's out cold. He then brandishes his vital instrument, rings that extend into a pair of claws covered in poison, causing Gris to push Rudo out of the way, stating he'll protect him. Jabber flexes his claws yet again as Rudo tries to tell Gris that he can help, but it's too late.
He's just a gruntling. He wasn't worth anything anyways.
Rudo stands shocked, the image of Gris stabbed reminding him of his foster father, it fading to black as he finds himself grasping his lucky charm. Rudo has a flashback of himself as a kid, banging his head against the wall when Recto stops him. He was hurting himself because Recto said to not hurt others. Yeah, Rudo might act like a brat, but you gotta understand he holds a lot of pain. Recto asks what could possibly be wrong, Rudo stating, nothing. He has nothing. The issue is that there's a feeling that eats him up and that's the only thing he feels. He just has no words to explain it. Remember that though, it's an interesting way to describe it, that there's a feeling eating Rudo up, like a darkness. Recto sums it up to his parents abandoning him. Rudo thinks he's worthless, and so he tries his best to fill that void. Birds, sports, cooking, but none of it's enough. That's till Rudo spots a doll thrown away, it causing an immediate emotional reaction. The doll's life wasn't over yet. Recto realizing Rudo finds worth in what others throw away. I think it's fair to say Rudo's love for disregarded objects is because he too feels the same way. Thrown away by his parents and the world. It's a way for him to make sure others don't feel the same, yet it's also likely a way for him to avoid his trauma. Put all his horrible feelings into objects so he doesn't have to feel the pain himself. It's very sad. Rudo has harnessed Gris's lucky charm as a vital instrument. Gris looking back and putting it together. Rudo's power isn't to turn anything into a vital instrument. It's to find the worth in whatever he touches and draw it out to its maximum extent. It coming to life as an all-imposing mass, the eyes steadily watching Jabber as he sits in awe. Literally salivating. He is quite a character. Rudo then thanks Gris. He showed him what he's always wanted to do, find worth in stuff thrown away, and now he won't forget that. He states he'll reject everything Jabber says and accept everything he rejects. They share names before Jabber jumps in, him springing across the building yet Rudo not budging an inch. He tries to attack Rudo, but it becomes clear that somehow the charm is literally pushing Jabber away. I just have to say he becomes especially crazy during this battle too, yelling for Rudo to say his name as he wildly swings his oversized claws. I mean, I'd be worried about hitting myself. Though no matter what he does, Jabber can't hit Rudo. Rudo revealing Grist prayed to the charm that people would come home in one piece, and Rudo sees it as an enemy never landing a hit, and so when Jabber approaches, it shoves him aside. Rudo then embodies Grist in every way, using his favorite weapon, his fists, to land a devastating blow on Jabber. Finally, our main man Rudo is figuring it out. Yet, we got the impression he's pretty crazy, and so he laughs it all off. He can push him away no matter what, and the weapon he uses is just his fists. Jabber calls it sloppy and lazy. He then asks if Rudo feels guilty when he hurts him. Rudo saying, yeah, normally he would, but not for Jabber, leaving Jabber glad and smiling as he jumps in to take a series of hits. Even when Jabber tries to disguise himself behind rubble, he's noticed by Rudo's all-seeing charm, and so he's continuously hit over and over till he eventually realizes something. With a crazed smile on his face, he notices the charm didn't redirect rubble because it has no consciousness. And so Jabber proposes an, I'll say interesting idea. Say he took a really powerful toxin and stabbed himself. He'll knock himself out and wreck stuff unconsciously. Well, Jabber does just that. He takes his vital instrument, Mankira, and shoves them into his chest, fading to black till Jabber becomes crazed, somehow even more than before, screaming wildly as he dashes at Rudo, just barely missing while tearing the room to shreds. Rudo realizes that Jabber really did that, saying he's either really committed and experienced, or maybe he's a masochist, someone who likes pain. Thankfully, when things are starting to get really bad and Rudo realizes he has no way to beat him, Zanka strikes Jabber down, ready to get his well-earned get back. The thing is, everything is still in Jabber's favor. Zanka is still a bit iffy from the poison. He may say, don't underestimate average Joe, Mr. Innate Talent, but you can tell Zanka's hurting. And so, having watched the battle, he's hatched a plan. He wants to hit Rudo. Let me explain this one. Charm redirects attacks. If he hits Rudo, he'll be flung. If he does that with the long staff, he can catch Jabber and easily beat him. And surprise, knowing Jabber knocked himself out with poison and got crazy, this too actually works. Zanka looks just as stunned as me. Jabber takes a series of heavy hits to the head, finally waking up as the duo lands their final blow. Yeah, Jabber's had quite a tough day. Put yourself to sleep, wake up, and get put to sleep again. Yet as they sit there in the aftermath, Rudo worried as Grist's charm crumbles to pieces, it's revealed it's not over quite yet. At some point, Rudo was hit by Jabber's claws, him now standing up and walking towards both of them on the ground. He reveals his left claws have a toxin that numbs the pain, while the right claws contain the toxin that has left both of them poisoned. And since that leaves no objections, he's ready to take Rudo, jumping out of the building with glee, yet as he realizes it's all been disturbed, he finds Rio. Enjin then sends him flying into a building. He's arrived with the group of cleaners since they've lost contact with everyone. In the wall broken and covered in blood, Jabber smiles, and gets even more excited, leaving everyone to look at Rudo and be like, he's been fighting a psychopath. But they won't let Jabber get away with it. Jabber readies to have another frenzy, but then he's grabbed from behind before anything happens. It's time for them to return. Jabber's caught off guard because he hasn't yet got Rudo, but the woman states the boss had a great big smile. And so, all of a sudden he's ready to disappear into the manhole the woman created. Yet first, he notices Rudo's vital instrument, his gloves.
That design, you have that series too?
He states the boss will love it, and with that, he's gone with the woman, leaving Rudo speechless at the word series. Okay, I stated it just before, but I absolutely love Jabber. With the Raiders' appearance, we're shown that not just the world of Gachiakuta is crazy, but definitely the people. And Jabber, I would say, is the perfect example to show there's some crazy people. This section of the story isn't just for growing the world though. Rudo himself actually grows a lot. And he learns that for some reason he wasn't meant to come to the ground, that he should have died at a border, that for some reason he was dropped here, lived, and there's no reason why. We then got to see him fully learn about his instrument, his love for discarded objects becoming his power, bringing their potential out to the fullest. Finally, we do get the confirmation that Rudo's gloves are special. Jabber calls them a series, saying that someone else he knows also has a piece like this, meaning Regto's book that had the same symbol was likely connected too. And considering he just lives, has this strange object that is apparently pretty important that his dad got killed for, I would say there's a reason everything's happening to Rudo. He's pretty special and everything's pointing to that fact. All this to say that with Gachiakuta's first full little arc, it's getting very interesting. So of course, we have to continue.
Rudo is depressed after the battle, and as Enjin tries to figure it out, Rudo shouts Gris. He couldn't help Regto on the spear, and now Gris down here. It's the same thing again and again. Enjin then speaks. Gris knew what he signed up for. He protected Rudo because that's who he is. He cares for people and things. He tells Rudo to come inside and pay his respects. Yet Gris never actually died. He gives his congrats to Rudo on his powers as he wipes his eyes. The whole time he had tricked himself into believing Gris died. But this is understandable. It was a death moment, and it was only thanks to a certain cleaner that he was able to live. Aisha Stilza, a healer giver, was able to heal him from death pretty much. Gris is super upbeat with this, thanking everyone before Rudo. Rudo did a great job fighting off that tough opponent. It's then a new cleaner walks into the room. The boss.
Sorry I wasn't around in the first day. I'm Corvus. Arca Corvus.
Corvus thought that at first, Rudo was bound to sit and wait for info. However, seeing how he's functioned with his team and considering his powers, Corvus has no problems welcoming him into the cleaners. He brings Rudo to his office to grant him some information. First, the borders the raiders mentioned was real. Whoever crosses between the spear and ground hits it and ends up dead. Next, Corvus explains a woman who has been living in no man's land, her having seen people fall from the sky, even saying some can go up and down without dying. And of course, Rudo has to go see this woman. Rudo storms out in his brand new cleaner uniform ready. Alas, Enjin stops him. There's this thing called preparation, which is especially needed if they're going to no man's land, especially, yet again, right after what happened with the raiders. We then get a nice moment that really defines Rudo. He asks, how can the raiders become givers? Enjin answering that not all humans are good people, but even bad people can take care of things. Rudo thinks on this idea. He was being unfair to assume bad guys don't take care of their precious things. And as you'll see through the series, the idea of vital instruments is really important to Rudo. That day, while he waits to go on his next adventure, Rio opts to give him a tour of the cleaners, where they end up on the topic of food. Rudo stating dessert was only for the rich people on the spear. It's then Rio reveals the cleaners have tons of desserts. They're so loved that they're more popular than drugs, at least according to Enjin, that is very crazy. Anyways, he eats some, loves them, gets into a fight about them with the child, then becomes all fat. All I gotta say is, Gachiakuta gets crazy. The following day, Rudo is having trouble yet again using his gloves, leaving Zanka to suggest that maybe they react to trash. And what do you know? They do. He tries multiple objects and gets to 3 before he fails, his nose bleeding and him nearly passing out. Enjin then notes how high quality his gloves are. Since he's loved and polished them for so long, they're super strong. But it is kinda strange that their power is messing him up so much, like he can't handle it. Rudo then wonders why the objects crumble after everything is done. Rio chiming in that they don't have any more regrets. Rudo used it to its fullest extent so they don't have any more regrets. It's beautiful. Then they ask Rudo what he's gonna name his gloves. Apparently, it's a normal thing to name your vital instrument. Rio as the Ripper, Enjin as Unbreaker, and of course Zanka and his lovely assistant staff. What about Rudo? He has absolutely no idea where to begin as we see the raiders returning to their boss. They open the door to a man staring into some light, mumbling to himself about a plethora of things, most notably the Watchmen series, before stating Rudo's name. All as we see his jacket now is the same insignia as Rudo's gloves. He too possesses a part of the now named Watchmen series. And this is our first introduction to one of Gachiakuta's big villains. I won't say much, but I want to note how uneasy this moment is. While a short 2-page introduction, it does a pleasant job creating suspense for this weird character. His dingy appearance surrounded by heaps of stuff feels chaotic. This accompanied by bloodshot eyes and ramblings make him sound, well, I'll just say crazy. Yet all is before he reveals he has an object just like Rudo's gloves and Regto's book. All to say, this guy is seriously important. Nighttime comes and Rudo is religiously washing his gloves. Care for vital instruments is important, and when he returns to his room, he finds Rio. She's laying on his bed. She came to check on him after hearing him moaning in pain. She quickly puts together that it's his hands, now asking about them. He reveals the terrible truth that they involve his dad. Yet again, Rudo has no memory of him. And with this, Rio gets up, leaving as she states we get a lot of things from our parents. Some are good, and some are bad. It's a very somber moment, Rio revealing some sadness I definitely didn't see coming. Though it makes sense, the sparkly bright characters normally hide the saddest truths. She's always stood out to me as a happy character, her red hair making her stand out as such, but here it's implied that like Rudo, she might have some family issues. She's also quick and quiet, in and out of Rudo's room without noise. There's definitely some questions when it comes to her. Though now it's time to get on the move. In order to go to No Man's Land, Rudo will need a mask like everyone else. Yet the cleaner's clothes maker works on his own time, so for now they'll run to Canvas Town. The point of this is to get magic charms, or spells drawn on them in case something happens. And with that, we're introduced to a group of cleaners coming along. Of course there's everyone we know, but now there's Delman, Tamsy, and a new supporter, Tomi. Delman instantly introduces himself as a gentle giant type of character, a loud but kind man excited to see Rudo. I describe him as overwhelming, so thankfully Tamsy pulls him away, saying he too likes people with passion, his face housing the kindest expression possible. I really like Tamsy, he looks cool and has cool hair. Canvas Town is one of the coolest places in Gachiakuta, a huge town with a dome to protect from the spear's litter. Though what's even cool is that it's a city of art. Canvas Town is a place where anywhere is a canvas, and of course it makes sense for a drawing-based giver, the spellcaster, to reside here. A person who puts all their feelings into art and the feelings come true. A child then runs and bumps into Enjin, their face full of tears before they run off. And as if on cue, it's learned the spellcaster has died. Everyone is a bit shaken up over this, but it's revealed the spellcaster's vital instrument is actually passed on. It's very unique in that way, and the successor was chosen to be the child Enjin ran into. But pause for a second. Inheriting a vital instrument causes Rudo to think on his gloves. He never connects anything, but I dare say we as the reader are meant to think Rudo inherited these gloves from Regto. Knowing Regto did have the book as well, and we've put together that they're in the same series, it's just something to think about. But the previous spellcaster specifically chooses their successor, and this child, Remlin, was chosen to be the next. But being so young, they're having a tough time figuring out the grief and new responsibility.
Okay, I'm over it. Done. No more doom and gloom. It's time to party.
Never mind, that was very quick. Remlin takes the instrument and reflects on their mentor's passing. They can't act sad because it'll be unfun for them in the afterlife. With this, the marker turns into a paintbrush, Remlin painting fireworks that erupt into the sky. What a cool, bright idea. I swear, this is why I love this manga so much. Remlin then formally introduces themselves and explains their love for freedom and the arts, before deciding to grant the cleaners a spell that'll reduce damage for one big hit. They try to tattoo it at first, but thankfully they change their instrument into a marker, which in itself is very cool. An art vital instrument that changes depending on the art form, that's kind of the sickest thing ever. Spells acquired, they return to base to meet August, the cleaner's clothes maker giver that has now finished Rudo's mask. He's a long-haired engineer type that's super loud yet talented. He's also the older brother to the super shy quiet healer giver, Aisha. No idea how they're so different, I guess that just happened somehow. The last thing to do before reaching No Man's Land is sharing blood. Yes, you heard me right, sharing blood, but it's for a reason. They attach the blood to chokers another giver makes. Each cleaner wears one and they're like telephones. Exchanging blood is like exchanging numbers. And all I gotta say is, how does Urana think of this? They journey towards the woman who's seen a person crossing the border. But first, they encounter a huge scorpion trash beast, allowing Rudo to try his brand new mask, which looks sick. Rio heads in first, chopping it up before Zanka slams it forward with his staff, then allowing Enjin to pierce it from above, all before Rudo finally activates his gloves, turning a keyboard into a weapon as he sends the keys like bullets at the beast, beating it effortlessly. The first time Rudo encountered such beasts, he struggled with everything, yet now look how well he's doing with his team, and when it comes to using his instrument, you just gotta be very proud. Everyone regroups, Recon showing no sign of the woman, yet to their astonishment, she's been watching, and now she's chosen to reveal herself. She walks forward to reveal herself as Ammo, and right away, she's another amazing character designed by Urana. Ammo is a scantily clad woman with these cool oversized boots, like they just look a bit too big for her. But the most notable thing is how she just glows. From the highlights in her hair, to the corset piercings, and finally her radiant, dreamy expression, it's so bright, it's almost intimidating. They ask the woman if she's the one they're looking for, learning she is, listening as she requests they speak in her house. After all, the air here isn't good for them. This isn't gonna go wrong, is it? Oh my god, it went wrong. Ammo stands with a prized expression as Enjin goes down. But wait, that went a bit too fast. We then go back in time to see an hour earlier, what had initially happened upon entering her house. The cleaners walk into her strange tower-like building, Ammo requesting they remove their masks. They ask to speak to her, but they won't even show her faces. It makes sense, and so they do it. And when they do it, well, she freaks out. Super happy they all look so cool. She's just so cheerful, you gotta love her already. As they inquire about information, Ammo simply wants to talk about what boys and girls they like. Everyone's stunned as she melts while stating she likes a man with a strong scent. Enjin is weirded out, but like he'll play along to get their info. But stating this flips a switch in Ammo. Ammo thought she finally had guessed, but they speak as if they're trying to use her. Enjin's words like, "I just wanted to see you," greatly upsetting her. She's incredibly angry they tried to lie to her, that they don't mean anything they say. Enjin then tells her to put her clothes on, and well, it becomes clear he's very good at pushing her buttons as this starts another outrage. Ammo hates when a man tries to tell her what to wear. Now they don't get to be Ammo's friend.
Yeah, she's really cool, and I can definitely already tell why she's named Ammo, or I love. That's pretty much her theme. Yet despite the cutesiness, you can tell she's a bit unhinged and all over the place. Though, let's be fair, considering we're in the middle of nowhere in this dark, disheveled tower, you can be right to assume there's a reason behind it. Not just this though, but that there's a lot of sadness behind this lovable character.
With this, talking is over and Ammo brandishes their boots, Rudo instantly noticing they too are part of the Watchmen series, just like his gloves and Recto's book, plus that weird jacket we saw. Ammo then asks for a good sir to take care of the cleaners, and Delman raises his instrument and attacks Enjin, catching us back up to the present and leaving everyone shocked. In an instant, her wicked smile turns back to cuteness, asking what type of girls do they like. Ammo wishes to have a conversation with them all, except the party poopers, what she has taken to calling the ones mean to her. As everyone begins to talk back to her, Rudo is locked in place. Not only is her having a similar instrument to him freaking him out, but some other force is affecting him. It's then Zanka strikes a nerve. Ammo beginning to cry while stating she never did anything. They hurt her feelings, and as if commanded, Delman attacks the cleaners yet again. He then goes on to scream for Ammo. How dare they hurt her? Even if they're on the same side, they get no forgiveness. Delman will protect her because no cause could be greater. The cleaners put together that somehow Ammo has a mind control power, her explaining it as if Delman became her fan. He'll now betray everyone for Ammo without breaking a sweat. It's justifiable to her. After all, the cleaners came in and were mean first. Ammo just wanted to talk to them. As Delman brandishes his vital instrument, Rudo begins to have delusions himself, imagining himself being insulted on the spear as Ammo reveals something. She is one more fan in this group. If anyone becomes a party pooper, Rudo will make them pay. Uh-oh, this is bad. Delman attacks with his vital instrument, a hose that was special to him because of his strong desire to grow big plants. He uses the hose to fuel a water gun, the water upon impact adjusting a person's water level till they pop like a balloon, which is horrifying. This is one of those instruments you'd never know what happened till it was too late. As chaos continues, Zanka begins to get a whiff of a weird smell. Strangely, it's familiar. In response, Ammo asks, "What do you think memories are made out of? Things, sounds, people, everything you remember." Ammo believes memories come from smells. With these words, Ammo transforms into Chiwa for Rudo. He's trapped in a delusion, leading Tamsy and Zanka to face Ammo. Her finally revealing all she does is make smells. Happy times with the ones you love. That's Ammo's theme. Ammo's boots release smells that if people breathe in, well, they're showing love-filled visions causing unwavering loyalty to Ammo. All they'll want to do is protect her.
So I was actually very curious if this was a real life thing, if it was a real power or rooted anywhere in real life. And I was actually answered on a previous video. Many animals will release scents to create chemical responses in other animals. The most common response being love or, well, to have children. It's also a common people belief that scents can make people fall in love or remember precious things. All to say, it's a pretty cool power and idea for a character, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before.
Ammo reveals her power, but stated it all out loud. To Zanka and Tamsy, it now makes a lot of sense why she didn't want them to have their masks on, so they just put them back on. No smelling for them means no mind control. Ammo begins to then get angry and shouts for help, Rudo imagining it in his mind as his love Chiwa asking, and so he pushes both Tamsy and Zanka away. Rudo, now completely under control, declares he'll fight. And I just gotta point out Ammo here. She's so cute. She loves how serious Rudo is. It's then everyone else stands up. The supporters, Delman, and even Rio are under control, leaving Tamsy with a tough choice.
I never wanted to use my vital instrument on my friends, but it looks like I have to. Vital instrument, Tokushin.
They dash towards Tamsy as he spins and unravels the top of his staff, calling this attack Net, which covers the whole room in these ropes and stops everyone in place. He notes how he's weaved the ropes in a way that if someone moves, they'll be further tangled. Tamsy explains his vital instrument as a distaff, a tool that is used to wind thread, him then spooling everyone into a huge rope ball, capturing Ammo easily. But of course, she's not happy to be caught. Her shrieking in rage as Tamsy realizes he'll need to up the ante. He takes his staff and taps the ground, the spool of rope rapidly unraveling as it's sent straight through the tower. With its impact on the ground, he looks down, everyone appearing dead. Yet he remarks to Zanka, they had spells drawn on them to prevent one fatal blow. Yeah, not only is Tamsy's power quick and destructive, but he has a really good mind to go with it. I wouldn't want to fight him. Tamsy's actions mean victory alongside a very upset Ammo. Also, Enjin smells her shoes, no idea why. Everyone is then confirmed okay and they don their masks to protect from the smells, Enjin seeing appropriate to return the boots. Ammo might be wishy-washy, but she's just a normal girl. It's not right to take her vital instrument, her treasure. It's here that in the background, back at Cleaner HQ, Samiu finally speaks to Corvus about Rudo. Remember how when she had met him and used her powers it was just distortion? She reveals to Corvus that in reality she had saw something dark, and that darkness is constantly growing. She even states that it's something that might destroy the world. It's then back at the tower, out of nowhere Rudo stands up and begins to hit Ammo. Everyone's standing shocked as he continues to wail on the poor girl. It's a very dark moment as he's pulled off her to reveal a bloodied face. Now I feel like 9 times out of 10 this action in media is just unnecessary. It's not worth showing because most of the time they'll miss the mark and it'll just get even worse. But Urana handles this scene perfectly, turning it into a vital character moment for both Ammo and Rudo. Rudo questions if just because she's a girl it means he can't hit her. Because she's a girl she can attack and kill everyone he loves? He states she's not helpless, she's a giver. She had knocked them down and laughed at them. Somebody had to hit her, she deserved it. This is a touchy moment, as while you should obviously never hit a girl, Ammo indeed did start it. She was the one who threw the first punch with her control powers. But on the other side of the coin, you could say it was the cleaners who threw the first punch to say, by coming in trying to use her for information. Regardless, they're both wrong and both right. Rudo here is clearly going too far. At the moment, she's defenseless. Yet you could also say it's justified because of everything she's done to him. Enjin then states,
Okay then, what do you want to do about her information?
Rudo's face turns to dread as Enjin drags him outside. Enjin continues on, speaking as he sees it. Rudo had forgotten everything and let his emotions get the better of him. Rudo turns into a mess of self-reflection as he realizes he hasn't grown much and is still a brat. That while he's learned so much, grown so strong, and even learned how to use his gloves, he's still the boy shooting dark glances when people say something mildly upsetting. Enjin then just states something astonishing. He likes hot chicks. I'm just gonna let him go on. He loves them so much, but if a woman was to hear him say that, she'd be pretty upset. All to say, everyone has flaws they need to work on. Big or small, there's nothing but room for improvement in everyone. Enjin himself has no filter. He needs to learn to keep his mouth shut. And Rudo has trouble with his emotions. They get the better of him. Both are things they each need to work on. Yeah, Enjin is a great mentor. It makes you thankful that it was him who found Rudo. He also makes a very good choice when it comes to Rudo here. He knows he takes things hard and chooses to break this dreadful moment up with comedy. I also want to remind you that Rudo is like 15 and comes from a pretty horrid situation, everything considered. Parents abandoned him, he has clear trauma, and finally the spear was nothing but terrible to him. Rudo has a lot of darkness. Also, even the best teenagers in the world makes mistakes. That's how you learn, even though this is a pretty extreme mistake. This is a moment that reminds us of Rudo's immaturity, that while he's been growing and doing better things, that's not all there is. It's not so black and white. Rudo is not going to become a perfect child just because he's done a few right things and made a few good choices. Finally, reflecting on him hitting Ammo, while each had their own rights and wrongs, you really shouldn't agree with either side, as the consensus of the moment is that they've both now done some bad things. With this, Ammo and Rudo's slates are both clean. Both are now open and free to grow as they need to. And as you'll see throughout the video, throughout the series, this was a very important and needed moment for the both of them. It's then, with Enjin's big brotherly love and help, Rudo decides he has to apologize. But first, we see Ammo speaking to one of the cleaners. The lady apologizing as she states she would love to talk romance. It's actually something she's interested in too. I love that she takes off her mask to make Ammo feel comfortable, showing that she means no harm, and Ammo notices, telling her that she'd be a good mom. Ammo reflects. Her mother was great too. She helped Ammo find her first love. And that's how she got her boots, because Ammo saw an angel crossing from the spear and the ground. Wait. Yeah, that's why we're here. This launches us into Ammo's backstory, beginning as a little girl with her mother. Her mother brought her one day to meet someone who would, quote, adore her, the person being a shady older man. Her mother stated that this man would love her forever and ever, going as far to say that she's lucky and she's happy for her. Of course, Ammo is a child who only knows her mother's words as gospel. She takes to them excited, before it's revealed Ammo's mother had sold her to this man. Ammo none the wiser. What a heartbreaking scene, and the way Urana draws it all scratchy like a kid's picture book makes it all the more uncomfortable. It's also a smart way to censor it. Gachiakuta is for teens, and you normally wouldn't see anything close to this in a teen shonen manga. All I'm saying is that Urana is very bold to even suggest human trafficking, though I'd much rather have it censored in a creative way than just not included at all. The man brought her alone to the Dark Tower in No Man's Land, telling her to never leave as he'll be the one to nurture and provide for her. The man showered Ammo in stuff she likes, her one day asking, is it from his job? He reveals that he's a trafficker, but for some reason the other traffickers hate him. Probably because, he likes kids. Ammo then states not again, telling us that what's about to occur is a pattern. Ammo has been subjected to this who knows how many times. The man states that it's time for their ceremony. Ammo stating that every time they do that, her heart beats so fast it hurts. Pleading to not do it as the man declares it as love. He compares it to a picture book she enjoys. Her overjoyed to be in love as the man abuses and assaults her. The scene yet again drawn like a picture book. Yeah, it's just sick. Just poor girl. This is a scene I had to take a break from reading afterwards. I hate it. As Ammo laid upon the table after the fact, swindled by her abuser's words of love, the door creaked open. Mysterious masked men on the other side. Ammo's abuser charges at them, revealing he had the watchman boots before her. Yet to these masked men, they aren't nothing. They drop him and take the boots. He deserves far worse than this, by the way. The men then approach Ammo, handing her the boots. They state they're much better suited for her, going on to say pieces have fallen out of her heart. The boots will fill that void. This is interesting to note. The boots are for Ammo because she too has trauma, just like Rudo. If these are a series as we understand, a dark heart seems to be a requirement to use them. Just something to note. The masked men walk away as Ammo's told to use them with love. Her eyes opened by these words, her calling the men flying away angels. Though her abuser then rises up behind her, pushing her hard against the wall as he berates her for stealing his boots. He kicks her and hurls insults. Yet Ammo realizes that something has changed. Normally Ammo doesn't feel anything, but upon touching the boots, her heart is squirming. The boots, they must be meant for her. They belong to Ammo, and therefore she won't let anyone else touch them. The instrument begins to react as the man stands shocked. Vital instruments are only meant to work for their owner. Ammo stating, well, maybe the boots weren't really his. Ammo declares that the boots make her heart feel full, comparing it to putting batteries in an old toy and it working again. Which, God, that explanation hurts so much. I love Ammo so much, and it hurts knowing that she's just been through so much horrible things. She simply asks if she can have the shoes, her abuser completely changing, speaking low and insulting her, yelling at her as Ammo refuses to let go, eventually pushing her to the point of breaking. Ammo becomes crazed, screaming as they get into a struggle, Ammo hitting back this time, pushing her abuser back till he flies from the window, ending as a bloody splotch several stories lower. Nothing but a horrible memory to Ammo now. She backs up and begins to cry, breaking down in a moment of clarity. What has Ammo been doing up to now? Why was she with that man? Why did her mother bring her to him? She knows it was to be sold, yet her mind just refuses to accept it. She picks up her brand new boots. It was all so Ammo could be loved. Creating the visceral image that Ammo instills the importance in love as a way to mask her trauma. She'll keep loving as it justifies the horrible things she's been through. Her backstory ends with Ammo revealing a few months later the angel returned, presumably after it had killed Regto, Rudo's foster father. Back to the present, Rudo walks up and is privy to Ammo's words, everyone putting together that it must have been when Rudo came to the ground, meaning that masked man, or angel as they call him, seemed to have been up there specifically for Rudo. Rudo is now consumed in thoughts of rage about the angel, imagining him bloodied before Regto's grave as he realizes Ammo is now in front of him, and before he can apologize, she speaks. Ammo too has made the connection between their vital instruments. Rudo needed the gloves as she needed her boots. They are what make their hearts human. The instruments each of them have fill a big hole they have. It was when Ammo had gotten her boots back she found her human feelings, but with them she realized things, like what the man had done to her and what it was like to be alone. She cries as she states she wanted to be needed, but leaving the tower was scary, and even though people came, it never worked out. Ammo realizes Rudo came to say sorry, but she tells him not to be. Ammo is just as bad. She too only knows how to raise her hands and hit others. Rudo places his hand in front of her. Then they should learn how to connect to others together. Rudo has no idea how to do that, but they should figure it out together. This moment causing them to realize they're both already doing it. A beautiful scene. This chance encounter has healed both of them, setting each of them on a better path. With this, the cleaners say goodbye to Ammo, her and Rudo promising to talk sometimes. But as she returns to her tower, the angel has reappeared, this time taking her and leaving her boots to the raiders. If you couldn't tell by the way I spoke of her, Ammo is without a doubt my favorite Gachiakuta character. Not only is her style and character just very fun, but she's probably the deepest Your Honor has gone yet when it comes to writing characters. And you know, I like deep characters that make you think a lot, so she's up my alley. Remember how I had said her and Rudo's slate was wiped clean? Well, because of that, they were able to have this moment. They were able to make up and grow, agreeing that they're gonna grow together. And I think you have to agree that it's a moment that both of them really needed. There is a lot to be said about Ammo, as we learn that basically everything she's done is a response to her deeply engraved trauma. She doesn't have people skills because she's been locked in this dark tower since she was a little girl, and her only real interactions were with a man who did beyond horrible things to her. It makes sense now why she was so wishy-washy and lashed out against the cleaners, especially when the idea of using her came up. The most tragic part of it all to me is her obsession with love. The sad truth being, we can definitely tell Ammo has never had love despite talking about it constantly. Her parents had sold her and the man definitely didn't love her. He was an abuser. No matter what he said, that is not love. Though through all their continuous talks of it, knowing she picks up easily to the topic, that in her mind, oh, if you say it's love, then it's acceptable, well, she began to accept this horrible reality. This makes the constant mentions of things like romance sad. She's obsessed with the idea of loving because it's a way out. It's a way for her to feel better, even if she herself has never experienced the real thing. But I think the worst part of all of this is the end, when she had finally made progress, finally connected with someone that wasn't trying to be horrible to her, Rudo. Well, we see that she's taken, abused again probably, and nobody but us, the reader, have any idea. The cleaners are none the wiser to it. It's horrible. The cleaners begin their trek back to base, and after seeing the doctor that's insistent that she's an old lady, we hear of Cleaner HQ being under attack by pests they call the Attackers. Sumiyu begins speaking to the attackers through the loudspeaker, taunting them as they realize their weapons have no effect on the building. In reality, nobody but those granted permission can enter HQ. This is thanks to their invincible shut-in. And I guess whatever this cleaner's instrument is, they can stop anything. Maybe it could be the building itself. That would be a very crazy instrument. Sumiyu then steps outside herself, her glass's vital instrument fully activated as she dodges a rocket, catches it, and sends it right back. She then matrixes the bullets before delivering lightning fast blows to everyone, cleaning her lens as the last attackers fall. It would appear that Sumiyu's glasses grant her exceptional perception. She can catch things the human eye would never see. Everyone returns as they realize somehow someone knows the cleaners have a spearite. The scene then cutting to the raider boss. He stands up to finally show us his face, making a move after a long time of waiting. And yeah, not only are things about to go down, but this dude is scary. He is that immovable object vibe, like nothing is touching him, and he knows it. With time, Enjin and his team have visited a cafe where they land on the topic of vital instruments. Sumiyu is strong, so Rudo can't understand why she's just a receptionist. But Enjin answers that while her glasses allow her to see better, therefore giving her an advantage in battle, they don't actually give her power to beat trash beasts. Also, she's wanted to be an office girl forever, so that seems like the real reason. Though, this conversation introduces types of instruments. Depending on the giver's personality, the instrument can change. People who want the best for their object and want to use it tend to have attack-based instruments, and those who preserve and keep it safe will likely end up with defensive instruments. It's all very interesting. Yet again, this is a power Urana can literally do anything she wants with, and that's really cool. The doors then burst open and new cleaners arrive. Team Child, introducing us to Guida, Dear Santa, and Bro Santa. Guida very excited to meet Rudo because he's from the spear, though she's then shushed. They have to keep Rudo under wraps. The attackers from the other day were set up into attacking the base only because of Rudo. Hearing this causes Rudo to sit down and sigh, a person next to him listening on and putting together that it's the raiders bothering him, all before mentioning that they're losing their minds looking for something right now. All of a sudden the man then breaks character and brings out the boots. Ammo's boots. They are looking for a match to these. Rudo looks over to see the raiders boss under the hood. He puts his hand on Rudo. He's the one searching for the match. He's the raiders' new boss. With Rudo in his clutches, he tells him to never miss a weather report. That way he can be prepared for when the storm hits. Though despite his words, everything here was masterfully planned. The cleaners jump at him at once, yet a manhole opens and they're all teleported to a dark tunnel, put against each other in a 5v5, raiders versus cleaners. Rudo puts together the raiders did something to Ammo, enraged as their boss takes clear interest in Rudo, flushing the tunnel to send all away except him and Rudo. Now alone, he makes it clear he has no idea who Ammo is, before introducing himself.
My name is Zodil Typhon. How would you like to take down the sphere with me?
Rudo envisions the destruction of the spear, crumbling to the floor and destroying everything. Zodil can tell Rudo is envisioning it in his head, reading him to push the subject further. Zodil states he hasn't been to the spear, but wants it gone, and he doesn't care what he's taking down. All that matters is that it goes down. Rudo lashes out as Zodil mentions his rage, but is quickly shut up and told to listen. He tells Rudo to stay on topic. They will have a proper dialogue. Just listen. His words lock Rudo up. He feels like he's in chains, held captive by Zodil's dark, overpowering presence. Zodil questions why Rudo thinks the cleaners will help him get to the spear. It's not their job. The only reason Rudo is kept around them is because it's convenient. His strength helps. He then steps to Rudo, towering over him. Rudo can't be happy with this status quo, can he? The current game of friends isn't what he wants, right? Yet again, just very manipulative sounding. He shuts Rudo up, then speaks on and on. Sure, he might pose this all as questions, but it's like he's telling Rudo what to believe instead of it actually being a question. Zodil Typhon is introduced quickly and established to be dark pretty quickly. I want to note how he's clearly drawn in a certain way, like in a way he himself deconstructs what the manga looks like. He is a dark image to start with, though when he speaks, the manga gets even darker. It gets more rigid and super rough to make us feel his words. Even the text boxes when he speaks are a lot more profound, like his words are weightier than all the other ones. Of course, establishing that Rudo feels captive by them is a way to make him seem scarier. Though it's also to tell us that Zodil is this powerful, demanding, and manipulative sounding leader. He knows he is very terrifying, and this shows that he's using it to his advantage, which says a lot about the type of villain he is. Here, we cut away from them and watch the others one-on-ones. Rio has found herself against this diva, her hyped up over the trash talk. Enjin is in a tunnel, looking straight ahead at this tiny raider. Bro and Dear Santa are in a destroyed city of sorts, faced with an older cowboy-looking guy. Finally, of course Zanka is having a rematch with Jabber. We all seen it coming, and both are beyond excited for this event, so let's just start with them. The two clash instantly, a beast against a beast, both set on being the last man standing. Jabber keeps his wicked facial expressions up as he mocks the bubbling poison in the arena. And I just have to say, this already looks pretty horrible to Zanka. How unlucky do you gotta be to end up in a poison arena with the dude who loves this stuff? Jabber touches the poison too. It burns the shit out of him. And this might be my favorite page with him. He's just, I can't even describe it. What a character, dude. Regardless, he just covered his claws in some new poison. Poison which he tries to flick at Zanka. Yet he pushes his staff under the ground and flips the piece of earth straight at Jabber. With this, Jabber is crushed and Zanka walks around. He knows it wasn't that easy. And he's right. Jabber begins laughing like a maniac as he springs out of the ground, revealing the real form of his vital instrument.
Now I can let the real me out to play!
Jabber's claws are now inscribed with his name, revealing instruments containing their name indeed do become stronger. They can choose to not, or to, put their names on their instruments, though with their names they're stronger. And in some cases, givers aren't able to put their names on their instrument because subconsciously something is holding them back. Zanka is speechless as Jabber becomes all the more crazed and erratic. Jabber can tell Zanka is like him. He has to hold back to have a fun fight. The best thing to him is a real fight he can never win. And it seems like Jabber has finally found that. He can look forward to it. Can he? Yeah, that face is crazy. Though as Jabber continues on, Zanka sighs. He's out of tricks. As Jabber dashes at him, ready to crush everything, Zanka simply states,
He's one of them geniuses.
he can't figure out how to beat Jabber. He's seen so many who claim to be gifted when they aren't. But Jabber, he can tell by the look in his eyes that he's the real deal. Zanka then states it's all the same. There's no way an average Joe can beat innate talent, a genius. But that's what makes beating him so damn satisfying. Jabber dashes in, destroying Earth as his claws wildly swing. Zanka forces the clash, dodge, and uses spear to fly into the air. All before Jabber whirls his claws in a circle like a whirlwind. Zanka cannot believe this. He can't move his instrument back either or he'll be hit. And before long, Jabber stops and sends him back with the ribcage crushing hit. Zanka tries his best to move from this spot, but in an instant Jabber is atop him, claws at his throat. But Zanka catches the instrument with his teeth. grabbing his staff and sending it straight into Jabber's side, crushing his ribcage as well, all before punching him in the same spot. Zanka refuses to let up, barreling towards him with his staff while yelling he'll reach his level, ready to end this as he sends a kick straight to Jabber's jaw. Yet while flying back, Jabber wildly swings his claws, just barely hitting Zanka. It sends him to the ground, Jabber walking up maniacally as he reveals Zanka's been hit with a really bad poison, stabbing him once more as Zanka's assist staff returns to normal, meaning it's over. Jabber's poison has given intense hallucinations, sending Zanka into a flashback of his past. It revealed Zanka's of royal blood, his family among the rank of Hell Guards, the people responsible for governing the ground. Think like the ground's official police force. Zanka is currently in training at this time, and among talks of a new recruit, we're given the impression that Zanka is very gifted. His family is elite, he doesn't buckle under pressure, and he's always at the top of his class. They're average Joes while he's a genius, something he strongly agrees with. He wants them to never know how hard he works, so that he can take first place without breaking a sweat. Yet this year's class introduced someone new. You see, Zanka wants to be first place so he can get a seat on something known as the Golden Throne, a position given every year to the most outstanding trainee. And until this moment, it was all Zanka's, but now he's been beat by Hio, the new girl. In front of everyone, Zanka takes her respectfully, but out of sight he's incredibly angry, so angry he bleeds in anger. Her then walking up to reveal she doesn't care one bit about this Golden Throne. It only exists so people can say someone's amazing. Zanka internally knows there's fakes who will copy the real deal geniuses. It makes him sick, but what makes him sickest of all is a fake who thinks he's different from the fakes, aka himself. The day he realized that this was him was when it was time to pick their weapons. And Zanka thought he was so special he picked an ordinary stick. Sure, it was to be secretly powerful, but in reality, that thing wasn't even meant to be there. It was a mistake on the coordinators. To top it off, the real genius, the one that beat him, Hio, picked an ordinary katana. With this, he stuck himself at the bottom of a well for days, realizing he is nothing more than a loser. There's nothing an average Joe like him can do to be a genius. Yet the man speaking to him from up top tells him to be an average Joe better than a genius. He can tell that Zanka wants to keep going despite his words. He still hangs on to that stick. That means something. And with this, everything he's saying is a good thing. Because when you recognize your weaknesses, you can get stronger. The man is revealed to be Enjin, him asking Zanka to show him that an average Joe can surpass a genius.
Zanka reminds me of Rock Lee from Naruto in the best way possible. I know Naruto is kind of cheesy and the characters are they're not the deepest, but Zanka and him have a pretty good resemblance in the way that they're both people who know they aren't that special, but trying their hardest to work their way up from it. It has to be them who puts in the work, and they have to do it through rigorous training and proving that they're better. Plus, they both have pretty big admirations for their mentors, Guy with Rock Lee and Enjin with Zanka. Zanka's character pretty much clicks into place with this backstory. He was inspired to become a cleaner due to Enjin's words. He realized he wasn't cut out to be a Hell Guard, following his family's tradition. It was this experience that taught him that he truly wasn't that special. And it also told him that if he wants something, he has to work hard for it. And therefore, Zanka works harder than everyone else. This is something that's actually been shown a lot. We've known Zanka works harder than the others, and Urana's shown it a lot. There's been so many talks with him being the best with his vital instrument, that he takes the best care of it, that he works hard to know it, and that he just knows more about it than anyone else knows about theirs. That's the type of thing you're not going to get through just getting it. You gotta learn, you gotta study, you gotta dedicate yourself to it. And Zanka learning this as his backstory along with that, well, it's pretty cool.
I'll just say, even if he's silly and even if his facial expressions are really funny to me, Zanka is very likable, and this backstory makes him even more likable. Zanka climbs from the well as he stands back up against Jabber, calling his staff back to him as he states he'll prove it. He'll show Jabber the powers of an average Joe.
Oh, Zanka, my friend. You must be having the funnest hallucinations.
Jabber is completely beaten Zanka, him locked into hallucinations, leading Jabber to dance in glee as he reflects on the battle. But then he notices the smile on Zanka's face. He too wants to have fun. And so, what do you expect Jabber to do? You should know him by now. He stabs himself with the same exact poison. What a guy. Next, let's take a look at Enjin, stuck in a tunnel with the tiny raider. Enjin begins to get bothered. He continuously calls out to the raider, but he's ignored. He just doesn't understand what's going on. And when we see what the raider's thinking, it's just that Enjin's cool. Okay then. With this, nearby battles begin to shake the tunnel and the raider freaks out. Others are fighting while he doesn't know how to start a battle. He then gains the courage to introduce himself. This is Fu, and Fu states he needs to beat Enjin for Zodil and can't be last to finish his battle. So he asks Enjin to hit him first. And he says no. Well, that's a place to leave off. Not much happening here, so let's just check out what Deer and Bro Santa are up to. Bro is introduced as Deer's foster father, with the raider introduced as Bundus, and from there the conversation turns into two middle-aged men having small talk. Finally, they get to the same confrontational page. Bundus revealing while he too has to fight for Zodil, he also seeks information. More specifically, who is their boss? Arca Corvus. As Bundus asks this, we see what he's doing at base, revealing an interesting neck tattoo of sorts. It moves too. It's like it's living, but I think it's a tattoo. It's just really weird. Sumiyu brings the news of the cleaners being kidnapped by the raiders, him telling her to mobilize everything while he figures out their location. He knows a very good info broker. Interesting. I also want to note that he isn't wearing a choker. You'd think that being the boss, he'd have one. He needs to communicate to the other cleaners. Yet he is in fact the only cleaner without a choker. But back to Bundus' questions. While obviously he knows that they won't tell him anything that damages the cleaners, Bundus makes it clear it's for a personal quest of knowledge. Funny enough, he sticks true to this. He asks simple questions like Corvus' favorite food, if they've seen him use an instrument, and what he does for fun. All before revealing that the raiders have learned to create trash beasts. This confuses Bro and Deer. He just revealed something huge. But Bundus responds by saying they gave him valuable info first. He now knows that Corvus is so hidden his own team knows nothing. And that's interesting to think about, because he's not wrong. With this, we can arrive to our final one-on-one. Rio versus Norde, a diva with long hair, bright eyes, and a crazy looking comb. Rio asks to stop being called a kitten before her opponent tells her to take it seriously, causing her to immediately brandish a ripper. Rio jumps in, leading her to duck, which loses the ultra long haired woman quite a lot of hair. Rio states that she doesn't want to get blood on her scissors, but hair against them, it's not really a fair fight. She also puts together that Norde's comb has to be her vital instrument. This is proved as next time Rio touches it, after touching her hair, she's shocked to the core. Norde explaining that her comb brushes her hair to create static electricity. Funny enough, she follows this realization up with scissors against electrified hair. That really isn't a fair fight. If it wasn't clear, they really don't like each other. Rio stands back up as the woman stomps towards her, then using her hair like an electric bullet to further push her back. Rio then takes to hiding amongst the buildings, waiting till the static runs out of her hair before attacking. Yet she dodges, hitting Rio and sending her flying. She shouts that it's silly for Rio to try and cut her hair. She's had it long for forever. It's not the first time she's ever defended it, leading to Rio asking what her previous job was. Norde reveals she was a warrior in a tribe full of women, though it doesn't exist anymore, before saying Rio moves in a way that doesn't fit her large weapon, and so she puts her scissors away and agrees, the fight continuing with straight hands. Norde's strength is monstrous, breaking walls with ease, but Ryo is quicker, ducking and dodging to land quick blows. They're evenly matched, the fight switching from a fistfight to a vital instrument brawl, but eventually, it becomes clear Ryo might be on the losing end. With her face bruised and her hair ruined, Ryo asks if anybody could hear her call for help, Norde responding, no one, she'd just be wasting her breath. Strangely, Ryo seems relieved, grabbing something from her coat before she shoots. I cannot make this up. Ryo brandishes a gun and shoots Norde several times. Norde is gasping for air as she asks why Ryo has a gun. Her bending down to say, Enjin says I'm not allowed to do it anymore. Kill people, I mean. She states that she tried so hard not to kill her, but she's so strong she couldn't help but use this. Thankfully, nobody can hear it. Ryo assures her that it's not a vital instrument, only her scissors, and she had promised she'd never stain those with blood again. The gun though? It was a parting gift from her old job. Her old job is a professional killer. She stares into Norde's eyes. This is a secret. Enjin has her on the cleaner's leash. That means Norde lives. Ryo stands up, fixes her hair, and for some reason thinks on Rudo. There's no saying how things will go with him. He should have forgotten about ammo. She then shoots Jabber as well, standing over him shooting till he's out completely. But knowing Jabber, well, this was probably the best he's ever felt. So every scene here gave us a bit of something with the exception of Enjin's, as he was against Fu, and well, Fu is interesting. Though we got Zanka's backstory, I already spoke about it. We learned some cool things about Corvus, that for whatever reason he's very secretive. And now Ryo, and what do I even say about her? It's obvious she's the one I have to talk in detail about. She told us everything there is to know, that she was a hired professional killer, and that's why she had a gun. It was from that job. We can make the assumption that guns are therefore very rare on the ground if she was so shocked to see one. We know they had them above ground because, well, Rudo was shot in the first chapter, but we haven't seen one since. Though we now know that because of some interaction with Enjin, she says like Enjin and the cleaners have me on their leash, we can assume that she's moved away from whatever her previous life was. The thing is though, she all of a sudden has a very mild interest with Rudo, and since we now know there's some darkness in her, I'm gonna make the assumption that she saw the same darkness Sumiyu had seen. I think Ryo is interested in this. To what degree? Scared, interested, romantic, whatever, she is curious about it. It's just something to take a note of. I think if we were to get an arc that is like saving a cleaner, bringing them back, and they have a troubled arc where they go rogue or something, this scene here makes me think Ryo is the first candidate. Finally, we can return to Rudo and Zodil, where the former goes on to give a speech. Living creatures are strange, fascinating things. They shape and adapt to their environment. He explains that on the ground you can find waste that has never been documented. It comes from the spear, and you can say that same exact thing about people. If where people live affects their humanness, Zodil coming from the ground and Rudo from the spear, then why does Rudo have the same eyes as him? Zodil continues on trying to tell Rudo they're the same, that even if they're from different places, they're the same type of people. He's insistent on swaying Rudo for whatever his cause is. In response, Rudo lashes out. Why couldn't Zodil just meet him normally? He's going through all this just to recruit him? He states he wants to reach the spear for himself, for his own objectives. So basically, Zodil just needs to back off and stay out of it. Zodil looks down. Normal? He goes on to explain a group he was without a doubt brought up in. A group of people who worship the trash the spear rites would drop, calling it blessings from heaven. They would accept all, good or bad, as blessings, and force others to do the same. While it may sound bizarre to Rudo, Zodil states it was just common sense to the group, and if someone like Rudo was to fight this, they'd become a heretic. Ultimately, the backstory doesn't matter. It was an example to say that normal really isn't a thing. He explains common sense created by fanatics like the group can be a deadly poison. Their common sense based belief of the falling trash being a blessing can be very deadly. He states that despite it all, you'd never know who was suffering from this common sense poison without a catalyst. To remove the poison from someone, to make them see something is not normal, you'd need to snap them out of it.
You need to shock their system.
He is certainly crazy, yet this reaction, thinking that it's gross crazy, is very intentional. To most, eating a bug is a shock, but there is people who do that. Zodil in his speech here is trying to tell Rudo his feelings might be a poison. Maybe in fact, Zodil's normal is right. In the same way the people who enjoy bugs might be right about them being tasty, maybe Zodil's plan to take down the spear is the right way. The shock he speaks of, him bringing Rudo for this, is him trying to be that shock. The shock Rudo needs to break his normal and switch sides. Though, if you've paid attention, there's two characters I haven't mentioned yet. That being Guida and the manhole girl, Sithoni. Sithoni has been watching and keeping track of everything, and in this moment she appears through a manhole to transport Zodil and drop Rudo into another room. Zodil then yet again looks down at Rudo as he stomps forward. He insults Rudo for running his mouth before even listening or thinking of what he was saying, wishing it was a cooler-headed person who fell from the sky. Yet he's now done with games. He won't even bother explaining his plan, he'll just show him. In the background, Guida has been around and is in the same room, and has found herself next to this core thing they all stand before. Her watching in horror as Zodil takes Ammo's boots and attaches them to said core.
The Watchman series. I was trying to make one of my own.
We finally get the confirmation this is the name of the series Rudo's gloves belong to. Zodil's coat, Rudo's gloves, Ammo's boots, potentially the book, they all belong to it, and the series has been active for far longer than any other vital instruments. Therefore, they contain immeasurable energy. Zodil tried to recreate that, and while he ultimately failed, he was able to create something else entirely. Like a mad scientist, Zodil has created a monstrous trash beast powered by a vital instrument, and he states they'll use this very beast to ride to the spear. This also means Zodil was behind the vital instrument powered beast from before. He's been at this experimentation for a while. With this, Rudo questions the importance of his gloves as we are too. Regto's book, that was indeed connected, and the gloves too. If it all came from the ground, then how did Regto have them? And noticing, Zodil takes to the conversation, seeing it as another chance to sway Rudo. The Watchmen series hold enough power to drive one mad, yet at one point in time, there was a single person who wore the entire series. Why is it that he and Rudo can use them? Zodil's explanation is that it's because they've left something important behind. In simplest terms, it's because they're broken people. But like a true villain, Zodil sees this as a power. Why should being broken discourage him if it allows him to use this power? And so he asks, imagine what would happen if a single person used all of the objects in the series. Would it be enough to reach the spear? Zodil needed to know. He had to experiment. He tried to create fakes but failed. Yet failure doesn't mean it's a waste. He learned he could use the object as a core to create the imitation titan of a trash beast. Everything he had done is for these experiments. Guiding and sending Rudo and his friends here was for this very purpose. One extreme mad scientist experiment to get to the spear. Everything in his plans are coming together. A special trash storm comes once every 6 years. And now he'll take his Frankenstein monster upon that storm to bring down the spear.
See? Not even the weather report was a waste. A nice storm is brewing.
All of a sudden, Guida jumps out, her face practically sparkling upon hearing they're in a trash beast. Her saying it's time for a giant monster battle. Yet this is the moment all the other cleaners too put together the situation. Enjin walks away from Fu. He's gonna go help everyone, and until he knows a way out, he's not fighting. Fu then blurts out it's a trash beast, leaving Enjin with this face. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't believe it either. Bundus reveals this trash beast's truth, and Deer instantly activates his instrument, Centrillion. Everyone's saying in unison it's time for some cleaning. With this, Bro also activates his instrument, Cloth, shooting Deer like a slingshot so he can punch the interior of the trash beast. At first, the punches do nothing, yet the more he hits, the more energy he sucks up, and before long there is a crater in the trash beast. Bundus laughs at the power, yet reveals his own, stating he'll need to stop the growth with his hands. Yes, hands are his instrument, more specifically, prosthetic arms. And as things get dark, a car just crashes through the wall. Complete chaos immenses as they fly through the air, now outside of the beast and just all over in the trash storm whirlwinding around. And by the end, somehow, it's like a miracle, they end up in the same exact car, where they get even luckier as they randomly find Enjin. Everything is literally going wrong, but somehow they're all perfectly finding each other. It's then Samiu reaches Enjin via his choker, and while he catches her up on everything, it tells Bundus everything he needs to know about the cleaners and their communication. Enjin realizes with this that everyone is lost and scattered all around. He'll let the find and bring everyone together, stating he got the name Enjin from someone he owes everything to.
It comes from an ancient language, and it means person who connects others. I will be the banner, the ensign, to bring everyone together.
Back at the court, Zodo offers Rudo one final chance. Follow him and he's guaranteed to make it to the spear. By comparison, what are his allies offering him? Saying, if you have a goal you want to accomplish, if you have any convictions, then trash must be disposed of. In the silence, Rudo reaches out. He had named his trashy gloves 3R, their most prized possession. To him, nothing in the world is waste. Even speaking to Zoda was important. It told Rudo that he has friends who gave a problem child like him a real home. Sure, he wants to make it to the spear still, but now that's not enough.
I want all of us alive, having fun. I want to get my revenge while living my best life.
Zodo's coat transforms into a pitch black shell, flying him forward at Mach speeds towards Rudo. As the substance takes him over, he tells Rudo he'll regret this. One day, he'll learn collecting waste will only lead to him wanting his beginnings back. And as he criticizes Rudo for calling out to his friends, they appear. Enjin and everyone else burst through the trash beast to arrive at the core. Rudo's friends are alive. Zodo looks back as Rudo says his experiment is over. Zodo simply replying that it indeed is. Soon, he'll have his long-awaited results. No matter what, this goes on till they reach the border of death or the spear. It's a race against time. Rudo instantly brandishes a nail gun and transforms it, shooting it straight at the core till Bundus appears to block it. Bundus activates all of his hands to fight everyone at once. He names when he got them as each one deals with a separate cleaner, meaning this old man is 1v6ing everyone running at him. It's insane. How this is possible is explained by Zodil. Like with the Watchmen series, the longer it's been active, the better the quality. More quality means a stronger instrument. Bundus has had his instrument for a very long time and had time to improve it. Therefore, its power is immeasurable. Rudo is struggling with Bundus' strength, but upon looking at his gloves, he realizes something big. He inherited them, meaning they're strong and have been around a long time like Bundus's. But not just that. They're his own personal treasure. They contain his own history and feelings. His own history and feelings are just as good as Bundus's and his instrument, so there's no reason there should be a gap. If anything, he can be even stronger. It's then the nail gun transforms into a full-fledged cannon. Rudo has discovered that instead of breaking 3R into 3 different items, he can use the 3 charges for 1 item, creating a super-powered cannon, one with no regard to the side effects. Bundus is terrified. While he may be using all of his power at once like an idiot, it's hard to stop idiots. As Rudo fires, he blocks the shell, driven further and further back till he eventually breaks it off. Yet to his horror, Rudo yells,
One more shot!
This one shatters his defense and destroys his arsenal of arms, smoke clearing as Rudo falls to his knees. To him, this was a battle to prove his treasure was stronger, and now he realizes that through this battle, he's broken another's treasure. Yet again, vital instruments and the idea of finding worth in things is very important to Rudo. Breaking someone else's treasure, something they find worth in, breaks his heart. It's then Zodil calls Bundus back. He's been intending to use this fight as a way to test his soldiers from the beginning, and now Bundus has been evaluated. As he walks off, Bundus points to his shoulder. All of his arms are crafted using his original prosthetic arm. It's his instrument's core. He can fix it all. Which, thankfully, Rudo isn't completely destroyed. He realizes he didn't mess up that bad. It's then Norde bursts through the trash beast, fully electrified and energized, ready to be of use to Zodil all the way to her death. Yet he stares on at this with a blank expression, simply saying, "Interesting." He walks towards Rudo. This is what it looks like when someone gives up what they care about. He will come to collect this piece of the Watchmen series. And with that, he's gone through the portal, disappearing completely. To be a true testament of Zodil's manipulation, the woman sacrifices her life to buy him time, screaming as she thrusts electricity across the entire beast. Everyone zapped and sent into pain as she burns herself and her hair more and more. Her goal is to buy enough time to allow the beast to cross the border, proving Zodil's hypothesis true or false. And even though this situation seems like certain death, Rudo crawls forward. It's then a wall bursts to pieces in the trash beast, sending Norde up and flying out at the beast. Her last moments being of the beautiful sky and some ghastly figure. It would seem like when Rudo fell, she too has hit the border. Everything fading to black as she tries to tell Zodil if he comes here, everything will be taken. All before finally calling the figure the Watchman. With her death, we see a backstory, and while short, we see how she and Zodil met. Zodil complimented her hair before assumingly recruiting her, him later referring to this incident as an experimental seed he planted blooming beautifully. Some real sick manipulative shit. We even saw a small panel of him giving her the comb. He literally manufactured this girl's existence to be loyal to his cause. And tragically, we seen that it worked, from life to death. Yet back in the trash beast, the hole is now threatening to suck everyone towards the barrier. Enjin looks to his right to notice Guida, instructing her to do something before she becomes a monster? This is her vital instrument. More specifically, the onesie she was wearing is now this huge monster. If this isn't the most insane power yet, I honestly do not know what to say. I told you Urana basically has infinite ideas when it came to powers. With this, the cleaners bust up the core and bring the trash beast down, noting it's powered by some weird charm instrument before Rudo grabs the boots. Everyone holding tight as they soar away on Guida's back. A total victory. They hit the ground, a pile of trash providing a cushy landing. Rudo is exhausted and worried about the fact he now has Ammo's Watchman boots. Something has definitely happened to her. And with everything in his mind, he's tired. He just wants something sweet. Zodil watches everything go down as he's asked by Bundus, why did he think this whole plan would work? Him stating the fake Watchman object he made, the charm instrument Rudo found, had the power of protection. While the man assumes the experiment to be a failure, Zodil sees otherwise. It was a success. He had met Rudo, tested his theory about the spear's border, was able to test and evaluate his team, and even learn about another piece of the Watchmen series. Zodil has come to the conclusion the chokers are part of the Watchmen series as well. Though, all in all, the truth is Zodil never intended to cross the border. In fact, he had assumed it wouldn't work. And while he wasn't able to recruit Rudo to get his hands on another piece of the series, he has now instilled enough importance in the objects that the cleaners will guard them for him. Zodil now knows more than ever. All he now has to do is get ready, steal every piece of the Watchmen series, then go to the spear.
This is super freaky.
Zodil had literally planned all of this out. His main objective is to bring down the spear, and we actually kind of have an idea why. From his small speech about the people who worship the trash the Spearites dropped, we can assume that he too was part of those people. Though through his talks about a shock to the system, he probably got some shock that led him away. The use of the word heretics is interesting too. It makes you think that there's probably a darker backstory there, and if I had to assume, there definitely is. All in all, this was our first big look into Zodil, and we can all see that he's a terrifying, smart, and very manipulative sounding villain that just wants destruction. All I'm gonna say is if he's trying to manipulate Rudo, we have proof that he manipulated this girl from when she was young to becoming like his servant excited to die for him, and he's Frankensteining these huge trash beasts. What could he possibly have up his sleeve that is crazier than all this? Not only is Zodil scary in look and demeanor, but his actions suggest that we should be scared of any time we see him on screen and what he could possibly be doing in the background. We've only just kicked open the door to him and everything points to an unhinged, loose cannon monster of a character. I'd also say we have a pretty good contender for main villain of the series now. Zodil's looking like he's gonna be the one to fill that spot. Though with this trash beast arc, we have so many questions. Big trash storms that destroy everything and creating trash beasts yourself? Yeah, that's already crazy. But what about everything else? Rio just had a gun. A gun! Then there's Ammo. We still have no idea what's happened to her even though we know she was taken. You'd assume it was because of the boots she had. The Watchman boots. But we learn it wasn't. They took Ammo and not the boots. They just left them. Though the biggest revelation is of course the Watchman series itself. Rudo's gloves, Zodil's coat, Ammo's boots, probably Recto's book, and assumingly the chokers. They are apparently part of this legendary series of vital instruments. It is revealed that while we speculated it, Rudo's gloves are part of a series of vital instruments a person wore so long ago that they're super powerful. Though more importantly, it was a person from the ground, meaning these instruments have traveled to and from the spear. I think this is about time we start pointing fingers at Regso. I mean, to and from the spear, he had the book and the gloves, probably gave them to Rudo knowing that they'd be inherited, and even was the one who taught Rudo the idea of vital instruments. There's a lot of questions when it comes to him, though I think we can make some pretty big assumptions that these instruments and this knowledge is probably why he was killed. Though that doesn't answer the question that comes with it. Why was Rudo allowed to keep the gloves then, and why was he allowed to live? We also saw that border figure again, the Watchman. Besides the name, because I have no idea why the names are similar. I don't even have a theory on that. It's just there. It's creepy and I don't really have anything to say about it. Just, what the hell? There's just way too many questions and not enough answers. Urana is putting so much down and we're getting drip fed information. And it feels like every time we get an answer, we get 4 more questions. I just gotta say I love it. Besides it being a beautifully written world full of art and graffiti, it's a very mysterious one, and I like being part of the community that sits here and figures it out and has my own theories. And well, Urana has given that to me, so I'm really enjoying the world Gachiakuta is building. And you know, not to spoil, but trust me, it gets a lot crazier.
The cleaners roll back into HQ and August is instantly interested in Rudo and his clothes, yet he gets no words back. It's revealed Rudo is nervous. He's not used to visiting injured people. He had taught Delman flowers are a way to help those recovering, and in response he helped Rudo get some. Also, they can go wish Zanka better. Zanka had it the worst against the raiders. Jabber's poison was so vile they couldn't get it all out of his system, and while Rudo worries, Enjin is sure this is nothing. Zanka has climbed out of rock bottom before. He'll do it again. It's then Remlin shows up. Remember way back when they had all gotten spells from them?
Yeah, apparently Remlin put a silly spell on Zanka and is now here to apologize. They only did it because Zanka is the most serious of the bunch. His arm then grows to an inflated balloon, and while they all expect Zanka to be angry, he's serious, he just laughs. This is exactly what he needed, a good laugh. It's a moment of clarity, as Zanka states he's just not good enough. No sorry is gonna help him, no feel better, because he knows the way to heal is to use it all as encouragement. He looks to Rudo. He better not be ready to pity him. He'll toss him right out. And strangely, Rudo doesn't feel any pity. He's also encouraged. There's more he can learn from Zanka. He gives them the weirdest smile I've ever seen, and like that, they're good. Rudo leaves and it's just Enjin and Zanka. And of course, they reflect on how they've been teaching Rudo. But upon hearing Rudo wants revenge while keeping everyone safe and having fun, Zanka states he'll need to figure out the things he's forgetting. This inspires him to get up, finding Rudo staring at an upset Remlin, asking him, "Are you gonna look for ammo or what?" They had a moment, they said they were gonna reach out, and so Rudo better get started. Zanka now pointing to Remlin. This to say, Rudo made a promise to Ammo. He needs to look for her while working on that promise. Remlin is right in front of him upset. This is his chance to reach out. If he wants to make it to the spear while keeping everyone alive and having fun, then he surely needs to learn how to do this. Rudo stomps up to Remlin, drawing. He doesn't know how Remlin feels, but since they're here, teach him some things. With this, both of them alongside Guida and Deer are drawing when Boss walks in. They all look at Rudo's interesting drawing of Regto, before Remlin decides they want to add their drawing to the spellcaster's mural. This is a very important mural all spellcasters eventually add to. It's a reflection of how they see the world and record their history. And so, Corvus sends everyone there on a field trip to Canvas Town. Sumiyu doesn't understand this choice at all. The raiders just attacked, and more than that, they're after Rudo, so sending him out is not smart. Yet it's revealed Corvus knew exactly what he was doing as the second they leave, the Hell Guards arrive. Their leader stomps in ready to ask questions, stating that the cleaners failed to report a few things when it came to the trash storm. Yet Corvus knows all too well that this woman, Choka Nijiku, is here for Rudo. By the way, this woman is Zanka's older sister, and she's terrifying. All I need to say about her, just look at her, she looks like she'd beat you. Corvus understands the search for information about the spear. Everyone wants to know more. But he won't let them have Rudo. He's a cleaner now, and a very upstanding citizen at that. Would it really be okay for them to jail him for basically nothing? She backs up and accepts defeat, knowing she tried to overuse her power. And as she leaves, she just asks for his name. Corvus telling her, Rudo. She also says to say hi to Enjin for her. But we know through little conversations here and there that she really hates him, blaming him for convincing Zanka to be a cleaner. A little later down the line, this scene's kinda out of nowhere, so I'm gonna say it now, we do see her capturing that one raider with the snowshoes. This scene really doesn't do anything but show how fierce they are, but it also tells us that they too have guns, something that seems to be pretty rare on the ground. But back to the kids' field trip to Canvas Town. They weren't actually sent alone. Enjin and Bro are watching them in secret, where they spot the small raider Fu looking horrified. I bet you forgot all about this guy, and that is very fair, as the last time we seen him was in the trash piece when Enjin left him. He sat there crying, breaking down at being pathetic and being abandoned, when some strange voice speaks to him. The voice is very upset with him and asks to trade places. Fu calls this voice hi and accepts. And that's all we know, that's what happened. Somehow he lived and has ended up here. Yet here, speaking to himself, he finally reveals this High character. And it's a doll. Yeah, I will talk about this with time, but for now, he states his goal is to live his life being ordered by Enjin the cleaner. It feels like I'm just reading something random, but I swear, this is Fu. He's just... the best way to describe it is that he's Fu. The group all reach Canvas Town when Enjin and Bro reveal themselves, all looking to the numerous murals in the moonlight. Looking at the front, they pay attention to the first one, painted by Makaka Eichel. And at the same time, Enjin and Rudo realize Why is the Watchman logo there? This is so unexpected, but Remlin quickly asks, does that mean Rudo is a fan of The Undertaker? All of these logos belong to Makaka Eichel's best friends. That one, the Watchman logo, belonging to Canis Sherbrek, The Undertaker.
But that's my name, Rudo Sherbrek. My name is Rudo Sherbrek.
This means Rudo is a descendant of The Undertaker, a being that existed on the ground generations ago. But then, how did he reach the spear? Who in his bloodline was able to go up there? Everyone realizes at once that Rudo is somehow a very important connection between everything. The ground and the spear, the barrier, literally everything. Hearing Enjin's words caused Rudo to think of what Zodo had said about the Watchmen series. What a person could do with every piece. Rudo realizing that it really is that special. It's probably the key to go to and from the spear. With this, they decide they need to search for more pieces of the Watchmen series. Then, of course, there's ammo, 2 huge objectives and mysteries. That night over dinner they discuss, and upon wondering how the hell the raiders got Ammo's boots...
Jabber. It was Jabber who got the Watchmen series shoes. Sir, yes sir.
Fu appears to spill the beans. Jabber was the one who took the shoes. Ammo was truly never there and they never even knew she existed. And the chokers are likely part of the Watchmen series. He reveals this all before asking to be Enjin's minion. Kind of funny but sad, they realize Fu is all too stupid to lie like that. Plus apparently no one with ill will can enter Canvas Town, and so in frustration Enjin just accepts it. They have no idea what's going on, so they'll have to go to the info broker. Him being a quote, pain in the patella. But first, we came here for the mural, remember? Helping Remlin, the mural is quickly complete, unleashing a festival of happiness upon the town. And now more than ever, Remlin is the official new spellcaster. Afterwards, Enjin asks if Rudo had fun, him answering that without Zanka, he wouldn't have known this feeling. He states that he's now able to put things behind him. Now he wants to find the Watchmen series and ammo, so he needs to meet the broker. Rudo no longer has any hesitation in his heart, and so he asks if Enjin will help. Enjin replies while reflecting on when he first met Rudo. As long as it's this new Rudo, not the brat, he'll be happy to. All I gotta say is, Enjin's the GOAT. Back at base, they tell Corvus their plan, and considering he's met with the info broker multiple times, he's their best place to start. He explains that the broker is the real deal. He'll definitely have the info. Yet it's risky. There's a big price of that info. Issue is, this price isn't money. It'll likely be something heavy enough to lead to death. And so, he tells Rudo he's only allowed one question. In the background, we watch the raiders assemble, and Zodil eats a bird? Breakfast? Maybe? He and his raiders too plan to meet the broker, him joined by Jabber, Satholi, and a new girl, Momoa. Both groups now have the same goal, meet the info broker to find out who made the chokers. The raiders wanting to steal this object while Rudo intends to use it to find ammo. And with this, the stage is set.
Do you remember that guy Tamsy? You know, the guy I said has cool hair, it's why I like him. Well, Urana here decides to take a break to draw a chapter all about him. It seems like a for fun chapter, a day off so to say, and well, it just seems like a pretty big break from all the craziness. What has he been up to? Well, we return to him in a chapter called Tamsy's Day Off. He opens his eyes and quickly turns on the radio, dancing to soothing music before switching it to heavy metal. He's kinda all over the place, but once he adjusts and puts his hair up, he's back to Tamsy. He walks out of his room to find Rudo, who's been hard at work searching for information pertaining to Ammo's whereabouts, who's still missing after being kidnapped 50 chapters later. Upon hearing of Rudo's plans, Tamsy smoothly smiles his way, wishing he's able to find his friend. What a kind guy. He then states to the rest of the cleaners he's gonna go into town, which prompts Sumiyu to ask for some kind of magazine, and he responds saying, "You're not asking for porn magazines,
which kinda implies that's exactly what she's asking for. Yeah, it's only through Tamsy we know Sumiyu might have some strange interests. Tamsy roller skates into town, ignoring a fight he can easily break up before buying a cake, finally ending up in some strange ruins of a destroyed building. Tamsy then descends a flight of stairs and arrives before a jail cell, commenting on how roller skates are hard to use. They don't let him use them up top. What could that mean? He then looks to the person in the cell, revealed to be Ammo. He pulls out the cake. It's an apology as he can't free her yet. But then he eats it right in front of her, a crazed expression as he consumes it whole. No care for her cries and screams of agony.
This tastes amazing. I think I'll have some tomorrow too.
There is no explanation for this bombshell. You're telling me the guy with cool hair and cool scars the whole time, that was just cool? Was this evil guy that did this to Ammo my favorite character? I'm not gonna lie, it got me and it broke my heart the first time I read it. This means Tamsy's known where Ammo's been this entire time, and got into Rudo's face and told him that he wished him well when it came to finding her. Evil. Also, up to now, we've been getting glimpses of Ammo wishing for cake and Rudo to save her. I haven't mentioned them because, well, I wanted it to be a big reveal, but this is such a heartbreaking thing. The poor girl has been abused in her life in every way, and when she finally got her boots, she kinda realized that it wasn't good things that were happening to her. But with Rudo, she was finally willing to grow from those bad things. She had finally found a light. And then she was kidnapped right afterwards, put here, imprisoned, and who knows what else has happened to her. All she can wish for is cake. She just wants something sweet for Tamsy to come up, have cake, and eat it right in front of her. This is a man that has seen everything we've seen. He's heard her backstory, seen what she was living like, seen how her and Rudo connected. And he does this. Yeah, just what a day off for Tamsy. Tamsy has been revealed as a big villain who kidnapped Ammo, but the most terrifying part is that nobody but us know. Nobody in the Gachiakuta world is wise to the fact that he's done this, that he is this bad guy, and that is absolutely terrifying to me. The info broker arc opens with Enjin freaking out over the long drive. The car is full of cleaners, plus Fu. They took his choker so he can't communicate, plus it's better to keep an enemy closer. But if you ask me, Fu doesn't really seem like a problem at all. They all then meet the info broker, Kuro, and he's nothing like you'd expect. I thought he'd be a dude like covered in darkness and mysteries, not a Monopoly looking guy, who also doesn't put his fingers in his gloves. Nobody else cares about this, but it really does bother me and Rio. He instantly tells them to shush before proving he indeed knows a lot, recalling everything they've been up to before asking what they want to buy. Rudo then poses a question about the chokers, but they'll only get the answer if they catch him. Kuro jumps from the roof as he announces an extreme game of tag, a carriage of horses bounding towards him on command. With that, it's time to go. Shocked at this exchange, all the cleaners are, well, just stunned. But now, it's time for a certain someone to shine. The whole manga, Enjin has joked about Grist's driving being too fast and dangerous, but now, well, they need exactly that. They dash out of the building, pedal to the metal as the ground rumbles and trash beasts emerge due to the high-speed chase, meaning it's not only time for serious driving, but serious cleaning. All take positions around the car, Enjin pushing them away from the front, Rio slicing up the ones on the side, and Rudo at the back, activating a brush Remlin gave him, using the ink as a spike trap. Remember though, Fu is here, and so as he sits in the car basically doing nothing besides speaking to his little doll, the raiders appear. An all-out battle over the info broker ready to occur. And finally, Fu's betrayal is set in stone. Zodil thought cutting him off would help, but I guess it's only helped the cleaners. Jabber then stands up, smashing into the cleaner's car, ready to frenzy as Rio kicks him straight in the face. He instantly remembers her, but not her hairstyle. She corrects him before Jabber shouts he wants to be shot again. What a guy, just what a guy. Jabber's claws go straight through the ceiling as those in the car panic. Gris asking Fu to please help. But in response, Fu states they probably won't be able to stop the raiders. Momoa is driving their car. You'd assume maybe it's a driving related power, but no. If Momoa touches the info broker, she'll hear every single memory he has. And after that, well, Zoda will likely kill him. What a scary power. Yet Kuro knows of even this, stopping Momoa before she reaches him. Only Rudo can catch him because it's for his product. Zodo questions this though. Then why is he leading the cleaners into no man's land? If it's just a game to get a product, what is he trying to use them for? Yeah, again, I need to point out that Zodil is nothing short of scary. Nobody is touching this dude, especially now that he's tested his allies and is more confident in sitting back, as he allows them to do the work as he waits to see where the info broker brings them. Back in the car, things keep getting worse and worse when Gris yells at Fu. Fu, will you please help? Begging him to lend them a hand. His hand goes through the ceiling. Jumping out with his doll, Fu transforms.
I'm gonna give him hell. It's high time.
Jabber watches it all, stating Fu is a cursed doll he lets take over, but calls it nothing more than a story. Fu responds, it's not a story, it's a pact. When Fu has no orders and needs to bust something up, his body becomes High's. In a single punch, he then shatters Jabber's arm. It happening so quickly, Jabber doesn't even feel the injury. High and his strength are now described as his very flesh being a vital instrument, meaning he's not just crazy strong, but unfathomably strong. Proved as he destroys the tunnel and knocks Jabber out in a single shot. But not before Jabber can admit, he always knew Fu was hella tough. With this, Fu is left in the tunnel, but I do want to speak about him real quick. The explanation is that High is a cursed doll that became a vital instrument, and that's how Fu can switch places with him. Though, I think in reality, since Yorana isn't afraid of approaching deeper topics, it's likely it's not a cursed doll. I think in reality, Fu might suffer from something like a multi-personality disorder. I say this because the idea of a cursed doll comes out of nowhere. We've had no mentions of such a thing in the series. Also, the fact that Jabber calls it a story, that while of course we're the reader, we see the doll talking because we see it through Fu's perspective, to Jabber, it never actually talks, meaning it's probably in Fu's head. To me, this gives the idea that maybe this doll was an outlet for Fu to deal with this disorder. And Fu had loved it, and the help it provided so much, it became a vital instrument. And if that's the case, if my little theory is correct, then that's a very beautiful idea. These vital instruments can be so powerful that they can make a person who has some hard issues become better. They can heal them. Of course, this is just my theory. I very well might be a curse. Who knows? Maybe there's some sadness. Who knows? Just shout out Fu. The info broker then speaks about Sithoni, noting that she's been gone. In the light, she can warp the pipes, manholes, etc. But in the dark, she can pretty much make a warp point anywhere. You know, just kind of telling us about her power finally. Though speaking of her, a manhole opens in the tunnel to flood it with beasts. Rudo right atop one. He had fallen off the car a while ago, but jumped on a stray beast upon seeing it rush towards a manhole. And now, he's gonna use the rest of that paintbrush, ready to push all the raiders away and get his info. The brush creates an ink mess resembling Remlin, the force sending everything in the tunnel flying in random directions. Enjin holds them all in his umbrella, saving them from death as they realize Kuro and the raiders have entered Tori, the jungle no man's land, a place with a single trash beast considered a king. And so, It's very, very deadly. Creeping through the jungle, everyone spots Kuro sitting before some sort of statue, when Zodil, revealed to be hiding out of sight amongst the trees, flings a rock, causing an instant vicious reaction from the trash beast. Zodil's plan is quite simple. With the info broker now on the run, he'll reach him as the cleaners act as decoys when it comes to the beast. Very smart. Rio quickly tries to exterminate the beast, underestimating it like crazy when she realizes she wasn't chopping away at anything, resulting in it grabbing her and throwing her straight through the forest. Rudo jumps in to grab her and bring her to safety, but Rio is very messed up. She's unable to move, and if they don't get her care yet, she will die within minutes. Rudo asks Riss to take her away. This is his fault completely, but he's no longer the Rudo who freaks out and mopes around. The Rudo now has to punch the one who did this, the info broker. Rudo concludes that the info broker's goal was to use him and the cleaners as a distraction for something in the forest, meaning him and Folo just have to catch him to stop it all. The two of them confront the broker, him holding some sort of box in his hands as he thinks to himself that they need to play along. Kuro knows his rules were clear. Rudo needs to be the one to catch him, so he runs towards Folo when he's punched. It's Rudo. Him and Folo had swapped clothes and completely fooled Kuro. Rudo then falls to the ground, his hands in immense pain due to the loss of his gloves. And as he realizes this, he recalls the words about their power driving people insane, now watching Folo go mad. Just by putting on a piece of the Watchmen series, Folo is hyperventilating, feeling reality slip his fingertips, and their power eating away at his mind. Rudo then saves him, taking back his gloves and avoiding Folo's questions. All that is on his mind is that the Watchmen series does indeed drive people insane, but not himself. What could that say other than maybe he too is crazy? The trash beast they've been avoiding then attacks, Folo narrowly avoiding it as Rudo realizes they'll have to beat this thing. It's not gonna just go away. It's then Kuro speaks, asking Rudo to use the box he's been holding. Kuro reveals that he took it from the strange trash beast, that it's an antique he's always wanted, but no matter what, it doesn't open. It's why he needed Rudo. Rudo can transform the broken, unopenable box to open it. Rudo seems to understand this, but first he confirms. He caught Kuro, right? And in exchange for being used for one of his schemes, he'll get another piece of information. Kuro agrees, revealing the box to be very valuable. It houses a carving of the Watchman symbol. Rudo has agreed to the plan, though Folo is heavily against it. He's insistent Rudo can't trust the info broker. He goes as far as even offering up his hammer, the object he's making into a vital instrument. Yet Rudo is already set on transforming the box. We then get a beautiful scene of how Rudo thinks about the objects he transforms. He views the box from everyone's perspective, yet realizes nobody actually cares about the box itself. Only the inside, only what it may contain. He compares it to his time on the spear. Nobody cared who Rudo was, only that he was poor and the son of a murderer. It's this feeling that gives him the power to make the box shine. Steam erupts in all directions, Rudo at the center of it all.
Boxes aren't just there to be opened, they're there to put stuff inside them!
The box transforms into a beast itself, opening its mouth to tower over the king beast, chomping away and thrashing at it before it consumes it whole, clearing the entire jungle in a short, quick moment. Rudo returns to the ground to face Kuro. The box has been opened. It contained a letter from Rudo's ancestor, Canish Sherbrek, the Undertaker. This is his last will and testament. The world goes silent. In a frenzy, Rudo runs to open the letter, it reading as follows. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stop the humans. All I could manage was to bury them. My dear children, your father has to go to break this chain. So please, please, live happy lives. the rest of it all scribbled out. Rudo can only wonder what happened to him as he asks who Kuro is. Everyone weirded out by how he knew the box was important. Him revealing the simple truth we're all well aware of. The box was carved with the Watchman logo, the Undertaker's logo. Things all of a sudden were very serious, so I wouldn't blame you if you forgot Zodo was watching the entire time. And while you'd think he was maybe after the note as well, in reality, Zodo's mind has been on the broker the entire time, as this is the perfect moment for Momoa to touch him. With this, using her powers, she's able to see every single memory of his, taking all the information he's ever collected, in turn likely telling Zodo everything he'll ever need to know, and so he springs into action to guard her.
Vital instrument, Mishra.
Like before, his coat comes to life as he activates its power, covering his face in strange marks as he summons spikes to attack everyone. His coat now resembles an odd pair of wings, and as he seems ready to push forward with even more power, Momoa falls to the ground. Momoa has always loved the world of music her headphones granted her. Even when they broke, she kept wearing them. The isolated space let her focus on a single world. It's then her ability came. Vital instrument Azul. The power to hear others' worlds through touch. Yet the information broker is different. Not one person has this many memories. She's barraged by random memories before she watches someone walk away. Canis Sherbrek. She realizes these are hundreds of years of memories as the info broker appears before her, revealing this is a memory he created just for her to see. He knew this would occur. He explains information is fragile. The more it's shared, the more it gets lost. Though once it spreads, it leads to new discoveries. He's decided to share this info with Momoa in hopes of discovering lost memories. Yet the Raiders too will have to pay a price. Back in the real world, that price is revealed. Momoa will not awaken for at least a month. Her brain has been overloaded. This means certain defeat for Zodil. And so, faced with it, what will he do? Well, our strange, interesting villain eats a sandwich. His coat transforms in response. With the sandwich all down the hatch, his pointy wings become full-fledged raven wings. While this gives the impression he has a ton of different powers, the broker who knows all asks if what he eats reflects the shape. Zodil ignores him as he realizes he needs to go. The cleaners are all there and ready to bring him down. Yet as he leaves with Momoa in arms, he has words for Rudo.
The next time the paths to our goals intersect, I will roll up my sleeves and beat you into the ground.
He flies away as Rudo yells back. He'll be the one to reach the spear first. He'll beat him, then he'll laugh his butt off, ending our clash with the info broker perfectly. I think about now we can start to make some pretty logical assumptions about what Zodil's Watchman coat does. Not only was he shown eating a raven before having spiky black wings, but whatever was in that sandwich clearly changed his form. I mean, the info broker, who knows all, literally commented on it. The assumption would be that whatever he eats, he transforms into. Though, apparently somewhere on Twitter, I couldn't find the exact tweet because, well, Urana tweets in Japanese and Twitter's translate button is garbage. She said that it's not that simple or that's not what it is. My assumption would be that maybe it's how he feels when he eats, maybe something like that. But it's something with him eating, just not as simple as he becomes what he eats. Yeah, it sounds really crazy, but it would also be in line with Rudo's gloves transforming what they touch. And considering they're in the same series, maybe that's how it works. We also got some pretty crazy revelations here, though in all reality we're still just scratching the surface. Rudo's ancestor, Canis Sherbrek, was the one who had all the Watchmen series, and whatever he was involved with led to this last will testament. The logical assumption is that this note talks about something between the ground and the spear and probably how they're separated. But it really doesn't give us enough to really give us an actual idea. Overall, I still gotta say that it feels like the world is just really getting started. Every time we get one thing, we get 3 new questions. And I really enjoy it. Urana's building something amazing, and something that only gets better. A few days pass as we cut to Rio watching the news about an up-and-coming doll festival. A few cleaner supporters at her side. They hassle her over injuries. Mildreda, the one with the scars, getting scary when angry about it as we learn Fu is under harsh investigation. Though this is all before Kuro, the info broker, bursts into the room. He sits next to Rio and apologizes. Rudo said he had to. He was very serious. He would punch him if he didn't, and so he happily apologizes. Rio accepting it while stating she needs to train harder. Kuro then reveals Rudo and the others learned Ammo's location from him and went to rescue her. It's heartbreaking that we first see this scene through Tamsy's eyes, as we know he was the one who put her there, and as he arrives, they start the rescue. He continues his calm charade, stating another familiar face will help soothe Ammo, even offering to head into the labyrinth first. Of course though, Rudo denies this because he wants to be first so he can punch whoever did this. This is just super uncomfortable as we know Tamsy is right there. The group walks through the labyrinth to find Ammo in shackles, a horrifying sight. Yet upon noticing Rudo, Ammo lights up. Hope has finally arrived. Rudo takes her into his arms as Tamsy walks up. Tamsy's presence changes to a monstrous, overpowering feeling. All for her to be happy he's there to save her too? He hands her boots with a smile on his face, her crying tears of joy. Yeah, what the hell? She remembers nothing. By the moment, Tamsy gets even more mysterious and falls darker and darker. Yet everyone but us, the reader, is under his charade of kindness. We then see the backstory. After the group had left Ammo, Tamsy had hidden a small rope which he was controlling from afar, spooling his rope into the angel that had captured Ammo. This implies that he too was the angel that gave her the boots. And while a huge revelation that for some reason Tamsy has been controlling everything related to Ammo, his following words and actions only get worse. Tamsy begins to think.
It is handy to have a support type power, isn't it? It can help in so many ways.
He states people have misunderstood him, but he's clear on harboring no anger or resentment. He states he has something better than these emotions, something that will trail him for all of eternity. All of a sudden, he closes his eyes as he views Rudo in his father figure, stating it was beautiful as he recalls the moment he had killed Regto. The angel who killed Rudo's father was Tamsy.
What I did, my act of love.
It's revealed he was recalling that moment as he looked upon a hospitalized Ammo, viewing a horrific state as he thinks it'll improve his bond with Rudo further. He questions his next actions. Messing with Ammo and killing Regto wasn't enough, but he still needs to get Rudo out of his shell. He sighs as he states he'll need to kill someone. He has to do it for love. There's no other choice. Okay, so last time it was a very big bombshell, so I can't be that surprised. But this, I'm almost more surprised somehow. Who knew that Tamsy was gonna become this? Like, he was already scary from what we had learned and what we only know, but he became even worse somehow. I will say, so far the most terrifying part of this character is just the fact that only we know. Nobody in the story even has a clue of what he is doing. It's literally only me and you and Euron, the one writing it. So, I don't know, that freaks me out a lot. Tamsy is seemingly giving us his motivations, if you can even call them that. It's all out of love. He killed Rudo's adoptive father, Regto, for love, and he went out of his way to torture Ammo and do horrible things to her for Rudo's love. And at this point, he wants to take it even further, stating he's gonna have to kill someone for that same love. Though the idea of love, the wordage is a bit weird, and in all reality, I think what the word means is that darkness inside of Rudo. Remember how Smiyu and Rio kinda had noticed it, that there is a darkness, some malicious force inside of Rudo? I think Tamsy sees it too, and he loves it. Tamsy's motivation is to get Rudo's love, to bring his darkness out. Though other than that, we know nothing at all. I'd love to give you all the answers right now because I too want them, but as the story goes on, Tamsy only gets weirder and eviler. So, yeah, so much for him being a cool guy. Waking up in the hospital safe, ammo is a reaction to the IV. It's similar to Tamsy's vital instrument, but she can't connect the dots yet. I'd like to assume this small detail is going to be part of Tamsy's eventual downfall. Regardless, Rudo is at her side right now, with the plant. Interesting look, Rudo. Rudo gives her the boots, reaffirming that she's okay while stating he's glad she's alive. Ammo responds, she's hurt a lot of people and Rudo taught her that actions have consequences. This led her to thinking being imprisoned was punishment, but she can't stand the thought of disappearing again. With tears streaming down her face, she thanks Rudo for coming to save her. To rub it in and mock them, yet nobody knowing it's for this purpose, Tamsy pops up to ponder on who would do such a thing. Yeah, I really wonder who would do that. As if to confirm he's in the clear, Tamsy asks if she has any details about the kidnapper. Her replying it was a long-haired woman. He smiles. It makes sense their memories are blurry. It's been rough after all. He then walks out of the room with a villainous smile, revealing he had used a vital instrument known as the Watchman book to change what she had seen. Confirming that the book Recto had in the very first chapter wasn't a normal book, rather was indeed a vital instrument, while we heavily suspected it, confirming that it is part of the Watchman series. Tamsy not only killed Recto to throw Rudo into the darkness, but to ruthlessly take his vital instrument. Yeah, not only is this a very dangerous object for a villain to have, one with the power to basically change memories, but it's sad to think Tamsy is using Rudo's father's object to further his quote, acts of love. Though the last thing he says about the book is, the real name isn't that dorky. That's just interesting. Tamsy then curiously asks about how Rudo went to the info broker to inquire about the Watchmen series. Yet Rudo is clamped up. He states Kuro knew nothing. Yet Tamsy isn't dumb and Rudo is honestly a horrible liar, so he definitely knows something is up. We then see how the questioning with the info broker went. Rudo asks where to find the person who made the chokers, as well as where to find ammo. Each question could lead to ammo. He doesn't want to risk missing his chance. Admiral, I told you that their moment would be really big. Kuro then starts talking about the choker maker, yet when it comes to his info, he doesn't have it. Rudo pushing him through the door and screaming at him, but it's in this moment that he silently hands Enjin a note. As he states the choker maker is an expert in hiding, Enjin shows Rudo the note. It first states that its contents can't be read aloud. The choker maker listens to every noise from them, before it tells Rudo that at the doll festival, he needs to look for a white crow. The white crow will lead him to the choker maker, but he cannot tell anyone, not even his fellow cleaners, about this, as the data leak will ruin everything. So yeah, that's why I was lying to Tamsy. Still sucks at lying. It's then we cut back to Rio and her treatment, Aisha, the healer giver, arriving to help. We finally get to see her power, a cord that uses electricity to administer treatment. Vital instrument type heal. Urana seriously made the best power system. Even a doctor can be so fascinating. Though, because it uses electricity, Rio's hair gets crazy. I kinda love this look though. Kuro then speaks up. As an apology, she can ask him any question. This is kinda weird to Rio. He's very soft on the cleaners, apparently due to a special attachment. But with no reason not to, she asks why he doesn't put his fingers in the gloves. Yup, what a question, and the answer is just as silly. He likes to pull the gloves off without the fingers. Kuro is just astonished by this question, Rio doesn't even want to ask about her mother. This flips the switch on her. Nobody asked him about that. If he really wants to tell people stuff, then maybe he should tell Rudo about that king trash beast, or maybe his real identity. He needs to get lost. She leaves the room as he ponders on his identity, then transforming into a raven. He states he's long forgotten about his original form. He's played too many roles. But Rudo, if anyone can remind him, it's Rudo. So we already had the impression that Kuro was strange, and that he was a weird being that had lived for a long time. You know, mysterious info broker, it's kind of part of the script, but a raven? That is crazy for crazy. This is very crazy in Gachiakuta especially though, because while I haven't shown them because it would be very random and off topic, there are ravens intentionally placed everywhere. There's probably like 10 panels in the series where it's just a raven looking at whatever's happening. This means every single time we've seen something like that, Urana has been hinting this is how Kuro gets his information. Which, I don't even know, that was such a crazy reveal to me. Finally, it also tells us that's probably why Zodo was eating that raven. He didn't want Kuro to be looking at what he was doing, and considering he's a bad guy, well, typical bad guy things. I also want to take this opportunity to discuss another one of my theories. One, I personally believe it's one of my theories. With the revelation that the info broker's been around a long time, is a raven, and has more specifically played many roles, I want to talk about Corvus, the boss. Well, the first thing I gotta start with is that his name literally means raven or crow. I'm saying I think Corvus and the info broker might be the same person, or at least Corvus is one of his roles. Besides the name, Corvus never wears a choker, meaning he's likely the only other one who knows the choker truth. I've pointed this out because as a leader of the cleaners, you'd think he'd want to have communication. Corvus also mentions how he goes to the info broker often, which considering how much he wanted to stray Rudo away from it, saying it was dangerous, why would he go there so much? Finally, what has always gotten me is his age. If Corvus started this organization, is the leader of the cleaners, a group which we can assume has been around for a while, then why isn't he older? I mean, he looks very young. This is nothing more than a theory. It's just like a lot of things in Gachiakuta, it's a mystery. Corvus is one of them. Though I do think as time goes on, we are given a few more things that makes this theory plausible. I'm not gonna mention them because I already talked about it here, but just let me know what you think. Conversation between Rudo and Tamsy continues on as Tamsy asks about his plans. If Rudo will chase after Ammo's kidnapper or information about the spear. Tamsy telling him that hints might lurk closer than he thinks before saying goodnight. Yeah, I really wonder who is the one person who could answer every single one of Rudo's questions. I really wonder, Tamsy, you sick bastard. Interestingly enough, Rudo questions whether or not he could even tell Tamsy. To him, Tamsy is the definition of a good guy. But with this, he realizes he never told Tamsy he had asked about the Watchmen series. Tamsy just knew. Instead of realizing this is strange, how would Tamsy even know the Watchmen series? He just shrugs it off. Damn it, Rudo, you were so close. It's then him and Enjin approach August's workshop, him poking his head out as this? Anyway, he was creating an outfit for the Doll Festival, the biggest event of the year, a party where givers use their powers to throw a festival. This is pretty cool an idea, but remember, that's where the White Crow is meant to appear, and thanks to this meeting with August, Rudo now has an excuse to go. Corvus then shows up. Apparently, he hasn't left his room in days, conveniently disappearing right when Rudo went to see the info broker. The reason he has appeared is to confront Tamsy. Someone took the Watchman boots out of his vault, and while it's revealed Tamsy did get permission, I dare say there's a bit of weird tension in this scene. Regardless, Corvus asks to see Rudo, where he wants to catch up and hear what he's learned. Of course, not specifics, just what Rudo feels is right to do next. Rudo goes over everything while leaving out the choker stuff, ending it by saying, after everything, he wants to be friends with Ammo. This leaves Corvus with a smile, Rudo going on to reveal he found his ancestors' last words. And this alone was the connection he needed for everything. He declares that he has to know now. He has to figure out what Regto knew, what happened to Canis Sherbrek, and finally, he needs to know about the world itself. In a second, Corvus appears crouched at his side. People can't ignore those putting up a fight. Even the truth of the world can't ignore them. Rudo has essential information, but he can't see its true form. If he keeps fighting, Corvus is sure it'll all be revealed. He then removes Rudo's choker, proving that he indeed does know the truth of the choker maker, all before revealing a bombshell truth. The cleaners weren't created just to defeat trash beasts, but to solve the mysteries of the world. Rudo watches surprised as Corvus shows him books with words suspiciously removed, clearly edited. And weirdest of all the missing passages are about the spear and ground. Every question you would have about the world is conveniently gone. But there's traces certain people existed, like the murals in Canvas Town, and of course Rudo's gloves. They're living proof legendary people like Canis Sherbrek did in fact exist. Rudo, upon hearing the cleaners exist to solve the world's mysteries, is shocked. Then why wasn't he told that first? But Corvus states he felt like he needed to gain bits himself. There's some significance in making the effort yourself. Plus, Corvus probably wanted to make sure Rudo could actually be trusted. Of course though, Rudo is unique. Not everyone who joins the cleaners learn this, as some don't want to learn this. Some join to fight trash beasts, protect, or just for a place to belong. And Corvus admits, what it comes down to is he uses them for his own goal. They join for personal reasons to fight against trash beasts, all while Corvus intends to use their strength to discover more about the world. It's selfish and far from righteous, but Corvus declares he has to keep on going for his friend. He wants to use Rudo too, help him, and in exchange he'll help Rudo. They'll expose the world together. Rudo listens. Corvus is polite and honest, telling him to his face that he's being used, and he's sure Corvus is hiding things. But still, with all that, Rudo can tell it's sincere.
I'm done being Rudo the Spherite. I'm Rudo Sherbrek the Cleaner now.
With this, they join hands as Corvus closes his eyes. Rudo has no idea about his past, history, but these words have deeply touched his heart. His strange neck tattoo now crying. This is a very big moment, showing Rudo is really grown in the simplest way. Rudo now doesn't associate as the Spherite. Now he's Rudo the Cleaner. Not only have things worked out perfectly, Rudo finding himself in a group that represents his current goals, but I think he's, for the first time, confident in the reasons why he's doing this. If you compare this to the whiny, selfish brat from the first few volumes, well, you gotta love how far he's come. At the same time, we then get our current last glimpse of Zodil, it being a small glimpse of what is certainly an intense backstory. He screams to be let go, that the trash isn't a blessing, to let his sister go, before we see him crying for his mother. We then see the moment he found the coat. If the world is about taking things no matter how hard you fight, he decided he'll do the taking. Covered in wounds, he stares forward as the current Zodil stares forward at Momoa, emotionless as he watches her entrenched in a deep sleep. At this moment, we don't know that much about Zodil, and in all reality, it's probably going to be a while before we learn anything else. Yet I think it would be fair to say we have a villain that commands his own type of terror. It's very apt to say he commands the papers when he appears on the manga. He changes everything from the shading to the art style and even the word bubbles. I keep saying it, or I've said it once or twice, but Zodil is like an immovable object, a force of nature that just doesn't seem stoppable. This in combination with his dark powers, crazy manipulation, and freaky bird-eating escapades make a villain that we should be wary of, as this story is only in its early stages. I mean, don't know what he's gonna do, and it'll probably be a while before we see him, but he's up to some bad. And even if it's bad, I can't wait to see what he does next. This guy's pretty damn cool. With this, Rudo creates a to-do list. He's learned a lot, and there's still a lot more mysteries to solve. But first, Sumiyu instantly puts him on a job. Sure, he's helping the organization with all his little quests, but that doesn't mean he's not supposed to go on trash beast exterminations. Especially right after he declared he's Rudo the Cleaner. Follow the supporter then catches up with Rudo, bringing him a brand new uniform, intending to make up for the info broker stuff. When they swapped clothes, Follow had ruined Rudo's, but it wasn't just that. The situation as a whole was upsetting him. Follow didn't trust the broker and went as far as suggesting his hammer. Yet the second he imagined it, right after Rudo had trusted him with his gloves, his vital instrument, he saw Rudo as a monster. He was fearful and didn't want Rudo to break his hammer. This is fair though. These objects are very precious to their users. Being scared is very understandable. But considering Rudo had treated him fair, he had let him use his vital instrument, he doesn't want to think that way about him. Regardless, the uniform is a way to make up to himself. And so, when Rudo denies it, because he likes to fix up old things, like his uniform, this really messes with Follow. He had went out of his way to ask August for a spare, bothering him while working. Rudo pushing him away does nothing but remind him of that annoyance. The same annoyance he's faced because supporters are considered lesser. It all culminates in this moment, a rage-fueled action where Follow throws the clothes to the floor. We then watch Rio finally make it back to HQ alongside Fu, though the cleaners are still checking him out. Rio admits to wanting to go see Rudo, and Sumiyu is like, oh, he's here, but she holds up like a romance magazine, and she's very interested, so I think she's trying to be like, I hope there's romance blossoming. It's kinda cute. She finds him giving Amo a flower. Yes, they're super cute. Amo states she has a lot more energy and is getting better as Rio tells Rudo he's needed elsewhere, leaving Amo face to face with, oh my god, Rio, what are you doing? Yeah, we just leave off with this, go away, do something completely different, and go back to Follow. No idea what happened here for a while. Follow stares at the clothes now on the floor. He walks to Rudo's room to deliver them anyways. Rudo can't be mad about having extras, and when he doesn't open the door, he goes in and notices Rudo's room. This somehow deeply bothering him. You'll understand later. The mission Rudo was called for then begins, Tamsy and the supporters joining him, apparently all on boss's orders. This sticks out to me. Tamsy has gotten very bold recently, and I suspected Corvus was eyeing Tamsy when it came to the boots. Though he also strikes me as a guy who needs proof. Perhaps he's aware Tamsy is obsessed with Rudo and wants to bait him into exposing himself. And maybe this is the mission where he wants that to happen. Regardless, at face value, everyone is there for support, but upon speaking to their client, Rudo's smiles, speaking, just people skills, well, they suck. Follow then steps in, always trying to learn and be the best cleaner supporter possible, ready to become a giver. He gives Rudo a perfect example of how to interact with clients, before walking away stating it's what supporters are for. After all, he isn't good enough to beat trash beasts. They all walk into the village and under Tamsy's guidance, Rudo whips up a plan to catch all the black ball trash beasts. A net. Tamsy just stunned Rudo copied his attack, and this face made me die laughing. Tamsy and Rudo then team up to destroy the wave of beasts, synchronizing their attacks as Tamsy notes how strong Rudo is getting, but that's before he calls it a waste, which is odd to me. If he wants to draw out the darkness in Rudo, isn't getting stronger beneficial? Follow watches it all. Rudo uses his net to cut open a path. Then, with the trash beast broken up, Tamsy catches everything. Despite it being his first job, Rudo has the power to charge in, no distractions. Yet Follow's following them behind, feeling nothing but disparity. The trash beasts keep coming though. They aren't destroyed by instruments, meaning they're part of a larger body somewhere. Rudo spots a strange creature emerging from a house in the background, him concluding it's the main body and readying a hairdryer as a weapon, turning it into a cannon and firing, hopefully destroying the beast. Tamsy then steps in to remind Rudo it might not be over and to guide him, though more importantly, Folo listens with ambition. If Rudo has what he doesn't, then he just has to reach out and get it. He gathers the courage to ask Rudo the secret to being a giver. The trash beast then gets up, rushing at him as Folo puts together the main beast, the one with the core, must be inside of the house. He steps inside and realizes something is already wrong, and with one wrong step, the house comes to life and he's thrown back. The entire house is the main body. Tamsy thanks Folo for the help, him amped up with these words from a giver, yet Rudo jumps in front of him and asks him to stay back. He'll blow the house down. Now this makes sense. Folo just took a heavy hit and Rudo is about to fire a cannon. Of course, staying back is right, yet Folo takes this hard. He stands up with a crazed expression.
Excuse me? What is that supposed to mean?
Folo explains how he had thought Rudo was different, that Rudo didn't disregard the cleaner's supporters like most people. He made compromises, admitted his mistakes, and even asked Rudo for help. But Rudo will never understand. Rudo realizes that now's not the time. Yet again, he asks him to stay back. Folo yelling in response. So what if he's not a giver? That doesn't mean he can't fight at all. He's tired of being a tag-along, tired of smiling through his inferiority complex, and tired of people like Rudo getting a big head and looking down at him. Rudo then turns around. When did he get a big head? When has he ever looked down on anybody? Folo responds that he's not delusional, that Rudo just needs to remember how he's been treating him. Maybe he needs to learn about how to read people. Rudo needs to realize that whenever he makes a mess, somebody else has to clean it up. This pushes Rudo over the edge. What could Folo know about him and his past? Folo goes on to recite everything about Rudo, dramatizing it and emphasizing how special Rudo is, before saying he doesn't give a damn. His tragic backstory doesn't give him the right to talk crap of those who've lived a normal life. Finally saying Rudo is using his misery as a shield. Finally, Rudo yells back. Folo is the one using his life as a shield to lash out. With this, Folo cracks, punching Rudo straight in the face. Grist pulls Folo away as the anger grows inside both of them. They need to knock it off. Yet Folo pushes Rudo more and more. He wouldn't understand anything, a reality where he has nothing. If Rudo has this, such amazing powers, then use them to go to the spear and get out of here. Rudo is done. He's putting his fist to Folo's face, and as he gathers all of his strength, the trash beast stands up, revealing itself to indeed be the house, and their fight only allowed it to power up. Rudo is incredibly angry yet turns his back to Folo. He's Rudo the cleaner. The trash beast comes first, leading Folo to sit there upset. Things only became this way. The trash beast is only strong. There's only tension because of him. As the trash beast attacks, Folo shouts to Rudo.
I'm sorry, Rudo. Next time, I won't mess up, I promise.
The trash beast charges at him, and despite his hammer, it hits him full force, sending him flying off the cliff bloodied and with the hole in his side, all but dead. Folo looks down at the blood, the warmth sending him into a backstory. He views himself as younger, as a kid with a girl, excited to see her. Yet when another boy comes along, the girl follows him instead. Folo could only think, what can he do to be that cool? That same boy one day showed Folo a hammer, declaring that he got it in the polluted zone. And even though seriously dangerous, death being a common thing, he ventured out and was thankfully saved by the cleaners. He explains them in the idea of givers. The boy inspired by them as he declares he'll be a giver and join the cleaners. Folo could only look at this and yet again say, how can he be that cool? How can he reach that level? How can he be that awesome? Years pass and a familiar scene unfolds. Folo and the girl. though now he realizes she only comes around for the other guy, and now the other guy's nowhere to be seen. It's then an alarm blares out. A trash beast is attacking, yet Follow only runs towards the danger upon hearing of the circumstance. Someone is fighting it, someone with the long-handled weapon. He can only think of the boy and his hammer as he stares down, but it's a younger Zanka. With no effort and despite the cold, Zanka handles the trash beast, smashing it up and severing its head clean off, Enjin emerging to clap, revealing Zanka just joined as a full-fledged cleaner. It's a very sweet scene, but we're kinda off track. Back to Follow. He's very mixed. He seems relieved that it wasn't the boy, but he also wants to know what that boy is doing now, though he also doesn't want to know. He thinks that if he saw him again, seeing how far he'd gotten, he'd only realize that he's better than him. It's because the boy is now gone that he doesn't have to panic, but he also realizes that he's very dependent on that sense of relief. Though Follow then finds a sense of courage. He's encouraged him and nothing will change by sitting around. He has a goal. He wants to be better than that boy. But we then turn the page to see the boys become nothing. A shut-in struck down by the world. He tells Follow to go away. When you're part of the faceless mob, you'll never be a giver even if you try. He has given up in every way. He states the spark in Follow's eyes made him feel like he was falling behind. They hadn't seen each other, but he wasn't free of Follow's judgment. He tells Follow to get lost, take his hammer, become a cleaner, and get lost. It would seem that seeing Rudo's room be similar reminded Follow of this moment. If it wasn't clear, Follow is a very jealous person. He compares himself way too hard to others, not realizing that everyone has their own path. And so even though he tries to say otherwise, it's likely Follow in this moment felt like he had won, that he had won over this boy and was gonna be the one out of the two that became something. So seeing Rudo's room be so similar, seeing that he lives in a similar predicament, well, he felt like he had lost, like he had never won. It's one of the big reasons why his feelings for Rudo probably built up so heavily. Follow returns to the present and opens his eyes, holding the hammer as he states he just wanted to be a good rival. He wanted to show that nobody's like them could be somebody, and he wanted to prove it together. Rudo dashes down to Follow as he tells himself he won't let their hammer end his junk.
Rudo, this is my treasure. I want you to use it.
Going back to the past, Follow dashed away upon hearing the boy's words. He didn't know why he did it. Was it to make their dream come true? No, the answer was simple. He just didn't want to become that guy. He begged to join the cleaners, worked odd jobs for them, and held everything in. No matter what, his emotions couldn't explode. In Follow's mind, if he ever exploded, he'd become the other guy. But now he realizes what he's become is even more pathetic. Rudo listens as Follow begs him to transform his hammer. Rudo seeing him dying in front of him as Regto. In the background, Tamsy holds Gris back. They are in no position to worry. The house is stronger than ever. This is where Tamsy begins to act strange. Him holding Gris back here caused me to realize he never stopped the fight between Rudo and Follow. He only watches. I know his role here is to let Rudo learn through experience, but it's like he wants something bad to happen. And when Follow is indeed injured, something bad happening, well, he celebrates internally. This moment is especially terrifying, as we are privy to both sides of Tamsy at once. While before it's been either evil Tamsy or kind Tamsy, here it's like we watch him switch back and forth from these personalities, through internal Tamsy and external Tamsy. His mask tears like a page, and as we the reader peek through the mask, we see an ecstatic Tamsy at the idea of Follow's death. The fire Follow's passing lights will push Rudo further into the darkness. Anger makes for great fuel. With a psychotic smile on his face, he claps, all while the external Tamsy strikes down the trash beast with the strangest expression possible. Back to inside. His internal self is celebrating the show, eating popcorn, but is insanely disappointed when it's revealed Follow lived. In the canyon, Rudo ignores the hammer, telling Follow he knows he's lying, saying if he's gonna blow up at people, do it all the way. Rudo asks, Folo, what does your heart want? Folo goes back to that moment where he entered Rudo's room. Despite it being trashy like the boy from his backstory, Rudo was very awesome. Rudo is awesome to Folo. He's jealous. He wanted to prove he could be more than the faceless mob. He wants to be a cool guy. It can't end here.
Folo, get up. You aren't done yet.
Rudo yells for him to get up and the ground erupts, both of them jumping to the surface as Folo's hammer transforms into a full-fledged vital instrument. Folo isn't done yet. Tamsy watches on shocked. He wanted Rudo to go berserk. Folo dying would do just that. So why did they both stand? He looks to the hammer. No, Rudo didn't. Folo was dead by all definitions. How is he standing? He puts together Rudo had saved Folo with words alone. Through determination, Folo had lived, remarking that the power of friendship is so not what he was looking for. Folo's small hammer has become stronger than ever. It engraved with his name to show no doubt. Rudo confronted him and made him into who he wants to be. Now he can fight at his side. Rudo states it wasn't him at all. It was Folo's own passion. All Rudo did was believe he could do it. Together, they stand as the trash beast fires a blast of energy. Folo slamming his hammer down to eat away the strike, the hammer working as a shield. Folo walks forward with his hammer, eyes filled with determination. He spent his whole life worrying what others think. He didn't want to be the other guy, so he held everything in. He made excuses, and now he knows he's nothing short of an idiot. That guy was an excuse to run away from things that would upset him.
I'm done. I won't run anymore.
Vital instruments are based on you and what you've done, and Folo knows it all. He knows how to use his new instrument. He holds the stress in, the power he absorbs, using it as a shield till it builds up. And when it's full, he blows up all the way. Folo names the hammer Allen as he strikes with a destructive blow, cracking the sky as he nukes the trash beast, ending it in one single huge shot. Smoke clears as Folo falls, Rudo coming up and listing the great things he did, finally saying, Folo was awesome. Rudo states he sucks at seeing small details, so for now on Folo has to speak up before he explodes. They fist bump and all is solved, a beautiful friendship beginning to form. Tamsy then walks up to ask why Rudo didn't use his powers again, him revealing he couldn't, the assumption being his last use was on Folo himself. They all panic before we cut to Samiu checking him out. Thankfully, Folo is okay, and he was not weaponized by Rudo. That would have been horrible, and the way they explain it is kinda confusing. Basically, Rudo did use his powers on Folo. He used his last use on Folo, just not in that way. The simplest explanation is that Folo was a piece of dynamite with a long fuse, and Rudo simply sped that fuse up. Folo finally becoming a giver was all him. Rudo was a catalyst for someone to become a giver. Samiu has never seen it, a human sending anima to another. It's then Corvus walks in, the most shocked we've ever seen him. He asks if Folo used his powers with his gloves on. Yeah, you heard me right. He stands shocked upon hearing he used his powers with gloves? Shakily walking out while saying good work. Yeah, that was the weirdest thing, and I have no idea what to even say about it. Folo is then healed but opts to keep the scars. They're reminders of his failure and a reminder of how happy he is to be a giver. This way, he can never forget. He looks to Rudo. While he doesn't really get how he made him a giver, Rudo helped him in some way, and so he'll never forget that. He'll always be there for him. Folo puts his hand out, making it official that they're friends and clearing a spot on Rudo's to-do list. Which I gotta say, what a perfect resolution. Tamsy watches it all, highlighting how everything was celebrated and Rudo's job ended in perfect harmony.
I could work with that.
Yes, this panel is that peak meme, but with Tamsy. Urana is the GOAT for this. Urana is the GOAT in general. Tamsy states he wanted to find a catalyst to get Rudo back to his original role, referring to bringing his darkness out. But for now, it's beneficial if he lives normally. After all, the higher he flies, the more it'll hurt when he falls. Yeah, nothing to say. He'll literally try to hurt Rudo as much as possible. Interestingly, he states he wants to return Rudo to his original role. More credence to the fact that he somehow knows what Rudo's darkness is and what it looks like. It's very weird. Yet don't forget that it seemed like Tamsy was intentionally placed next to Rudo. While he stated it was to further his goals, I can't help but think Corvus wanted them together to look out for him. This is pushed by one of the supporters noting how Tamsy seemed to be just watching the battle rather than helping. It would appear that maybe he's getting closer to actually being exposed. Enjin then takes a scolding Follow and Rudo for their ridiculous fight. It's a silly scene, Enjin calling them babies, but thankfully they clear up every misunderstanding before Follow is invited to join Enjin's group. Yet Follow tries to say he's staying a supporter. And while it's for noble reasons, he's a supporter that wants to prove the supporters are great, August already made him a giver uniform, and it looks amazing. So yeah, you can't change your mind now, Follow. Plus, the other supporters are more than happy to see him grow. They want this for him. His label doesn't matter. They know Follow will always be Follow. I love the first job arc because this is actually the first for a lot of things. While it's classified as just the first job, that's not just it. This is the first time Rudo was able to reach out for someone in the same way Enjin reached out for him. Quite powerful, especially right after he realized he truly does belong in the cleaners. This is also the first friend he's officially made. While he's close with ammo and stuff, well, they haven't gone and said, "We're friends." Lastly, I think this is the first time that we see someone become a giver in front of our very eyes with the exception of Rudo, which is very cool. I hope Urana gives us more moments like this because it feels very magical. It also did a lot to make Follow extremely lovable. All in all, this arc wasn't crazy when it came to world building or big realizations like the last few have been, but it was different. It was a good switch up and something I enjoyed a lot. And while it hasn't grown the world, this was one of the bigger arcs when it came to Rudo's growth. I mean, friends, he didn't have outbursts, he was using his instruments and stuff correctly. He's doing pretty well. This is also going to be pretty important considering we're soon going to go after the Choker Maker. You could say this is like Rudo's training arc, but it never even felt like one, which is a pretty good achievement. Many people will make fun of manga training arcs, so good job, Your Honor. I love this arc. Everyone decides to take a picture to remember the moment when Ammo appears. She pops up healthier than ever, glowing even more, with a new outfit to boot. I have to say it, but this outfit perfectly emphasizes that cutesy love vibe. It really fits her. I'm telling ya, Urana loves Ammo just as much as we do. Rio appears stating that Ammo joined the cleaners so she helped her fix her hair up. And for now, she'll join them as a healer. The cliffhanger we were left with is revealed to us. Rio had confronted Ammo about her vision her scent had given her way back. Ammo stating she had no idea what it was, but she wants to change. She doesn't want to be that person anymore. Yet again, Rio is dark, threatening Ammo because of what she saw? Something from her past? Yeah, if there was doubt before, you can definitely say now, there is darkness in Rio. We just have to wait and see what it is. We then see a scene where Corvus had told her that she could heal hearts, but her ability is still imperfect. Therefore, the cleaners will help her polish that ability. The second Enjin speaks to her, specifically talking about her clothes. She's upset. She definitely doesn't like him. Finally, Rudo asks if anything has come to her mind about who captured her, but it's still one giant scribble in her mind. With this, Ammo is seated as a part of the main cleaner cast. Since Rudo has saved her, her own arc is over till it's time to expose Tamsy, or at least that's what I'm expecting. He's just still out there being evil right now. Speaking of him, we view his final moments as of now. He walks the hallways thinking of his plot with Rudo. If he wants to get him back to his original role, he'll need a catalyst. He's happy he was on that job. Now he's come up with a brilliant idea. He enters Corvus's office, saying in his head it's time to prepare the sacrifice before he states out loud,
Boss, I'd like to go on a trip, so I will be taking some time off.
Yes, normally I'm here for Tamsy bombshells, but here I'm here to deliver the news that our secret mastermind who's been causing complete chaos is just leaving. He's just going on vacation. He walks to Corvus's office, thinking of his actions up to now, ending it on the phrase, time to prepare the sacrifice. Not scary at all. Then he just takes a leave of absence. Don't even know what to say about it. And of course, that's where I had to sadly leave off with Tamsy. I mean, not scary at all. And, you know, I don't have words for it. We have no idea what he's planning to do next. He's planning to do something sinister and horrible, but who knows? I don't. I really do want to say though that I think he's one of the most terrifying manga villains we've got as of late. Like nothing I've been reading weekly or keeping up with has really compared to him. The final scene of this arc begins 2 days later. Sumiyu walks into a bar and sits herself down next to Enjin, him reflecting on the choker situation as he looks to a picture of everyone together. Except Rio, she doesn't like being in pictures. Enjin reflects on Folo's power, the concluding point being that his power is special. It can't fire off multiple times, it has to build up for every shot. All to say, special powers create more weaknesses. They speak of Ammo's boots. Corvus sees potential there, but Ammo still has issues with their power. She might even be subconsciously suppressing her powers. Enjin then states, instruments reflect the user. That's why their user's name is carved into it. But when there's no name, the user is holding back. He then mentions Sumiyu taking time off, noticing that something unusual is going on. Though, he knows what it is. She's gonna do it.
You're going to write your name on your vital instrument to look into the future.
Sumiyu is gonna write her name into her glasses to look into the future, leaving Enjin to freak out. It's very risky. If she removes her limiters, the recoil effect might cause her to lose her eyesight forever. She simply states though that Corvus has seen something. Before long, something is going to happen. And this is where we leave off. I know this is a pretty random, strange place to stop. There's about 15ish chapters left to cover. Though, they all belong to the Doll Festival arc, and in reality it's maybe halfway or 2/3 done. I not only don't want to end the video on a random chapter, but I don't want to make the following video where I cover that arc begin in a weird place. I want to remind you that if you want to read more, you can catch up on K-manga. Please support the manga. Chapters are easy to read, and they'll give you a lot for free. Please, it helps Urana greatly. Gachiakuta has become so special to me as a series. As someone who grew up with Soul Eater, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but I literally have a tattoo of it, and has of course enjoyed everything related to Okubo. I mean, I have his art books, I have his manga. Like, one of my favorite mangakas ever, his style is just insane. But Gachiakuta, being able to read his successor's manga in real time as an adult who can buy stuff and get stuff related to the series whenever I want, is so cool. It's an unbelievable feeling seeing something you feel so connected to unfold in front of you. I mean, I'm watching the anime as it comes out, I'm reading the chapters as they get created, and I'm even making silly little theories and videos like this about it. It's just, I love it. It feels like it's part of my life and it's something I'm so excited to. Like if I could have a vital instrument, it might be like Gachiakuta itself. That was kind of cheesy, but it just came to my brain. I genuinely believe Gachiakuta has everything it needs to be a star. A very interesting world, lovable characters, and a plot that intrigues and creates excitement for the future. Then, of course, there's the idea of vital instruments. Something I think literally anyone could get behind. They're fascinating, powerful in every way, and they're simple enough for literally everyone to have. I think it's like my favorite power system I've seen since Nen from Hunter x Hunter. I can see the magic in vital instruments as the same I had as a kid doing Dragon Ball moves in real life. I mean, I can imagine kids envisioning their own vital instrument. You know, I was a kid who grew up when manga was not popular in the States and things like that. It was weird to do that stuff. And I kind of got that same feeling from this series. Gachiakuta is magical, and it's got a power system that is beyond magical. It's powerful in how it can appeal to anyone. It's powerful in what it's trying to say emotionally. It's powerful in terms of its writing, fashion, the world, everything. It's something literally everyone could enjoy, and you can see the magic flowing on every single page. The manga is currently ahead a few chapters in its craziest arc yet, but still, in reality, this series is only really just getting started. We know nothing about our big villains. We've barely cracked the case when it comes to the world. And if anything, it honestly seems like every section gives us another mystery. I will personally be here for the long ride. I love the series more than enough. You can definitely tell. But with that, I want to leave you with one question. Where do you think Gachiakuta goes from here? Without further ado, that is the end of this video. I'll keep it short because the video's been long, but if you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, do all the normal stuff YouTubers will ask you to do. It helps, and it just makes me feel like I did a good job.